Good morning and welcome to our August 10th Board of County Commission meeting. We're going to start off our meeting this morning with an invocation by Pastor Matt Pilot from Christ Fellowship. Matt will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Michael Norcott, U.S. Air Force veteran and Martin County Veteran Service officers. Please stand. Good morning.
Let's go to God in prayer this morning. Heavenly Father, we stop before we get to the business and the agenda and all the things that we want to do as a community, and we acknowledge you. We thank you, God, that you superintend all things in our life, in our nation, and in the world. And Lord, we know that there are many concerns always before us, especially with the news cycle. We see all the anxiety and the stress, but Lord, we look to you as the source of our help. You said, I can lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? From the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. And Lord, you who are our great God and creator, Lord, you understand all things and you hold all things in your hand. That gives us great comfort and strength today. Lord, we come as a community united in heart and united in mission. And as a pastor of the community, I want to pray for and thank our great leaders, our great commissioners, those that willingly lead us and invest. Lord, I pray for wisdom. I pray for strength. I pray a blessing on their families, on their businesses, and let them know that we stand with them and thank them and support them for their service to our community. Thank you, Lord, for your presence in this meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, on today's agenda, we have one additional item. We have consent number 16, adopt 4 proclamations commending individuals upon the occasions of achieving the rank of Eagle Scout. And we have no consent pull, so that comes.
Approval of the consent agenda and the rest of the agenda with the additional item of consent 16.
Second.
Okay, great. We have a motion for approval of the agenda and the consent agenda by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And we have a couple of proclamations this morning and a presentation. So we will start with our proclamations, which we have 2. Laura, do you want to announce the proclamations?
Sure. The first one is to present a proclamation recognizing a blood drive commemorating the 20th anniversary of 9/11 in Martin County, Florida. Blood donors are the foundation for meeting the needs of patients nationwide and are often the difference between life and death. On the 20th anniversary of the attacks on September 11th that took the lives of nearly 3,000 innocent Americans, the Curry Buchanan Law Firm, in conjunction with Florida's Blood Centers, will hold a blood drive at their offices so donors can honor those who died on that fateful day with an act of kindness. And here to accept, we have James Menendez with Curry Buchanan.
And his team. Good
Yes.
morning.
Yeah,
His posse.
and we walked in order, so that's a hint for you to do that from now on. But Jim Menendez, I'm the administrator for the law firm of Curry Buchanan, and I have with me Paul Caruso of One Blood, Linda Whitestar, a partner in our firm, and Steve Beers, a partner in our firm. Thanks, commissioners, for the proclamation for our 9/11 blood drive. Mike Crary, our managing partner, gives us apologies. He couldn't be here today. He's got a mild respiratory issue. But the vision of our 9/11 blood drive was his, and I'm going to share that with you now. Do you remember where you were on September 11th, 2001? I think anyone over 30 remembers exactly what they were, where they were, and what they were thinking. Well, we were in our boardroom watching everything unfold on TV. Mike was there, and Mike, like all the rest of us, was full of fear, hopelessness. We didn't know what to do. What can we do? Is there any way we can help? Well, Mike's a lifelong blood donor, So he went to the blood donation center. When he walked in, he was the only one there. Within 30 minutes, the place was packed of people donating blood. 2001 was an all-time high for blood donations. When our country is in need, Americans step up and do whatever we can to help out. Donating blood is an everyday necessity. So many people rely on it to stay alive. Trauma victims, surgery candidates, people fighting illnesses. We don't hear a lot about the blood donors, but they're there day in and day out, donating blood and saving lives. When our office moved in August of 2010 from Colorado Avenue, we wanted to do something for the community that would go on year after year and would also allow the community to know that we had moved after 40 years. Mike decided we'd do a 9/11 blood drive. So far, we've collected over 1,700 pints of blood. This year is the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and we're going to have a 10 o'clock program. We're going to have a benediction for those by our own Deacon Larry Crary, a few words by Mike Crary, and Denny Hudson of Seacoast Bank. Seacoast has been a partner of ours on all of our blood drives. So please, we invite you and the community to come out and join us on Saturday. It's on a Saturday this year, September 11th, for our program, and if you can donate blood, please do. This year also we have a new partner, Conky Joe's Inc., owners of the Dolphin Bar and Grill, Conky Joe's and Stringers. And if you donate blood, you'll get a little goodie bag with a $20 gift card for the restaurants and a $20 e-card also. Thank you, and please remember us on September 11th on Saturday, and come out and join us.
Thanks.
We have awesome shirts for the blood donors and one for each.
Jim, that's in the parking lot, right?
Yeah. Saturday we'll have the whole parking lot, and we have at least
On
one
US
bus
1.
there, so
On US 1.
no waiting.
On US 1, 759 Southwest Federal Highway, US 1.
Oh, yes. Yes. You got it flaunted, Ed.
Yes, I just got a haircut yesterday. It took 2 seconds. I need more than this.
Right.
And next, we have a proclamation commending Rose Corres upon the achievement of the Girl Scout Gold Award in Martin County, Florida. The Gold Award, the highest rank in scouting, is only achieved by 8% of Girl Scouts nationally. The award is a reflection of an individual who has endeavored to become the best she can be, and it is recognized as having special significance not only in scouting, but also as the individual enters higher education, business or industry, community service. Today, we congratulate Rose Corres of Girl Scout Troop 30215 for this amazing achievement, and we commend Rose for her service to the community.
Good morning, and thank you all for having me today. My name is Rose Corres, and I created the Storyteller Station Project, a technological way for pediatric cancer patients to share their stories and listen to the stories of others regarding their experiences battling cancer. My project's goal aims at targeting the disconnection and isolation that is commonly faced among the pediatric cancer community. My personal goals for this project were to inspire hope, insight, and connection among this community. I partnered with local organizations such as the Sunshine Kids Foundation, the Kids Cancer Center, and Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospital in order to gain participants for my project. My project was initially a tangible station placed in all of my project's organizations, all equipped with tablets and headphone sets. However, once COVID hit, my project needed to pivot, so I resorted to changing my project to be completely virtual. In doing this, I utilized the Google Classroom platform. On this platform, I created 5 pages addressing the 5 general types of cancer. On these pages, participants could share their stories, either by typing, voice recording, or videoing for others to hear or see. I collected over 25 stories of hope, in which I then distributed by compiling them into books, which I have here. And I distributed these books to over 20 different hospitals across the US and Canada. My project is active in more than 20 different states in the US and is active in 5 parts of Canada. My project did benefit from COVID because I was able to expand it much farther than I had originally planned, especially on a national scale. My project was completely funded and supported by Peter's Hardware, so a big shout out and thank you to him for his generosity and kindness. And thank you all for having me today. I couldn't thank you enough. I'm completely honored and humbled.
Thank you. Rose?
Thank you. As soon as you were done, Ms. Corres, the lights, we all started pushing our buttons. Please, we'll come here first and then Chair will take a picture with you. I just wanted to acknowledge, Rose, the fact that many of us are invited to go to Eagle Scout Court of Honors. I've been to many, and I've only known you will be the second young lady I know that's received the Gold Award. I know that in Girl Scouts it's very, very hard to get. And so you and your family are to be commended. But when most Eagle Scouts do their project, they're local in nature. They'll work at nature preserves and libraries and things like that. What you have done and the reach that you've done with it is remarkable, and I just wanted to acknowledge you personally on this award and honor will go with you for your entire life. You will apply for jobs when you're grown up, more grown up than you are now, or even to be on committees and things like that. And when you have to differentiate yourself from others, this will be how you do it. So congratulations to you and your parents, who I think we're familiar with.
Also, Rose, do you have any other notable achievements?
Yes, I recently earned my Gold Congressional Award about 2 weeks ago.
And normally you'd get to go to Washington to receive that, and you aren't going to be able to do that.
No, it was a 6-hour Zoom call, so I am completely zoomed out.
What a wonderful achievement. And also, tell us what your college plans are.
So I will be attending Belmont University this fall in order to pursue a degree in legal studies on the pre-law track.
And did you get any scholarships?
Yes, I received a full ride.
As a parent.
Great job.
How about the Olympics? Did you win anything at the Olympics?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Wonderful.
Amazing. Fantastic.
Now you take a picture with Stacy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a superstar. Her brother's got to be like, whatever.
You know what it's like being a twin.
Both to do both?
Liberal Arts College
We'll get it.
in Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of musical-minded majors go that way, too.
She's musical too.
Congratulations, Rose. Absolutely. And what's going to be hard for the next presenter to top some of those proclamations. So we have a special presentation this morning by Waste Management on Martin County's recyclables. And do I see Jeff Sabin? There he is.
Bringing his garbage, yeah.
Here he comes with what looks like the new, he has a special guest with him.
He's wanted to do this for 20 years.
Someone's supposed to hop out.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners, staff, and the public. My name is Jeff Sabin, and I'm Government Affairs Manager for Waste Management. And I'm here with our entire team supporting me and our efforts. I'm excited. Where'd they go? Oh, here you go.
Can you see the bright neon vest, Jeff?
And of course, our county staff and partners who we've collaborated on this program. We've got Sam and Greg and Tom, and then Dwayne's our senior district manager, Alexandra. She does everything, admittedly. She's our communications expert and specialist. She does community outreach. J.C. Causey, he does everything outreach for us. Plus, he's our all around guy. And Lazarus, Laz Gonzalez, and then Sean Riley. That's our A team. And we're here this morning to give a very brief presentation. We put together a PowerPoint with your staff, and we'd like to run through it very quickly. And it's all about the conversion of the 18-gallon bins, single stream materials, and providing a mobile cart to every resident. And it's 3.5 times larger. And interestingly enough, I did an unscientific study. That means I ran around some neighborhoods. People are still separating. They're still using both bins and separating, unlike single stream. So we think this is really going to push them over into not having to separate and combining. And we feel the lift we're going to get from this relative to the outreach and positive support is a larger diversion of materials going to the landfill, going to be processed in your new processing agreement as well. So it's very exciting. And with that, I'm going to kick it off. And thank you again for allowing us to appear before you and give this presentation. Next slide. We purchased a whole new fleet. It's compressed natural gas. It includes not only the fleet you see servicing, but also support. It also includes the compressed natural gas infrastructure. So if you do the math, we are making an investment in Martin County of over $30 million. We're so thrilled. It's an upgrade, it's an enhancement, and we're ready to go and excited about it. Next. The new cart, as we've explained, 64 gallons. Your staff has designed this cart to make it usable, friendly, color differential as well, and in the lid to help folks understand what does and what doesn't go into the cart. An in-mold label is right here. And this is like the decal. It's actually going to be molded into the lid. So make it easy on the residents understanding what does and what doesn't go into the cart and keeping the materials clean and contaminant free. Next slide. We, in collaboration with staff, felt it be ultimately important to communicate with residents to get in front of the program because it is a large undertaking. It will include all 44 to 48,000 residents that currently receive service. We've sent them letters introducing the program, and there are 2 separate letters, one in which, to not be confused, are participants. That's the majority of residents that are single-family homeowners in Martin County. And the second is for others that are in gated communities that we hope to bring onto the program within the next couple years. We've also followed up with a postcard, again, trying to communicate that the carts are coming, be prepared, make plans for it, and be sure not to put anything into the cart, or you can the week prior, but don't put it out prior to, because we won't have the trucks on the route to pick them up until the week of October 4th. And as we're going to show you, so the postcard has already been sent out. It is ahead of our schedule. We are ahead of schedule relative to the carts, the manufacturer, delivery. We have the list all set. We'll be staging at the Martin County Fairgrounds, so we're going to see a lot of activity over there relative to carts assembly and delivery. And the key to all this is communication. We want to make sure everybody knows what's happening. And next slide, please. Thank you. And we've also put together, you want to do the,
Yep.
can we, it's a really short video we created in both English and Spanish.
Ready?
Ready.
Oh, why is it not going now? It was going just fine earlier. Come on.
Hi, on behalf of Waste Management, thank you for being a valued Martin County customer. We are committed to providing you with excellent curbside waste and recycling collection service. Our new automated compressed natural gas fueled recycling trucks are equipped with a robotic arm that automatically lifts and empties your new cart without the driver ever leaving the truck, helping to ensure our driver's safety while also providing more efficient service to residents. When placing your cart curbside, please keep these tips in mind to ensure optimal service. Place all recycling inside your cart. Acceptable items include clean, dry, and empty cardboard, paper, bottles, and cans. Do not bag your recyclables. Keep them loose. And do not place hazardous waste such as lithium-ion and rechargeable batteries, household chemicals, and flammable items in your cart. Please have your cart curbside by 6 a.m. on your service day. Place your cart directly at the curb with the handle away from the street to ensure that the cart is emptied completely and the lid closes properly. Your cart should be on the opposite side of the driveway from your mailbox and not blocked by any objects such as a car or tree limbs. Keep a 3-foot distance between your recycling cart and trash containers if your recycling and garbage service is the same day. Our trucks service one side of the road at a time. Therefore, your neighbor across the street may be serviced before your home, but rest assured, our driver will be back to provide service to your side of the street. And remember, do not begin using your new recycling cart until the week of October 4th. Thank you again for being a valued Martin County customer. Please contact Waste Management Service Department at 772-546-7700 with any questions.
You have to wear some familiar people. We get to do it again.
You could do the Spanish version. I think.
Nope.
That was my neighbor. The cart's just about as big as she is. A funny story. So we lined up the carts for the video, and we're getting ready to take the long shot, and we look down, their cart's gone.
People brought him in.
My neighbor rolled it right into the garage. Oh, we love it. Yay, thank you. I said, well, I'm going to need it back. I had to be the Indian giver. So we actually, that's available. The video is being posted not only on the county's website, but our website as well. We're also sending out links to homeowners associations to get in front of it, to give them information as well, along with all the collateral that you've seen and we prepared and provided to you all. So, and then we'll have some more leading up to the actual startup of the program. We're going to probably have a press event and things like that, maybe at the fairgrounds. So you'll hear more about that. We may do some demonstrations. We were prepared to do some demonstrations. But they wanted to put me in the car to dump it as a demonstration. I said we can't do that. Or Commissioner Campy, I think he raised his hand to do that
I'm
as
ready.
well. So maybe next time.
Mr. Saban, if you want anybody under 30 to see it, you can't post it on a website. It's got to be a TikTok. It's got to be Instagram. Got to be Snapchat. Especially a TikTok. I want to see a Waste Management TikTok.
Agree. So to your point, communication, not only when we deliver the cart, will it have the embossment and emboldment, but we're going to also attach additional information in a plastic bag to the handle. It'll have the days and all additional information for customers. So, and that begs the question as well. How many phone calls have we received regarding the program? Because we've sent out 2 information pieces as collateral already. We have received a number of calls, and we are addressing. We've stepped up and added more customer service representatives. We call them customer experience representatives to our pool, answering phones, because we know that's critical, and that was an issue earlier this month. We did have some residents call, and they were on hold for longer than we feel is acceptable. So we are addressing that issue as well as we approach the October 4th kickoff date. So I think that's it.
Jeff,
Laura.
Commissioner Hurd has
I do. I have a question. I absolutely love my garbage men, and so this makes me nervous. There are, on recycling day, there are two garbage men who participate. So now it's automated. What's going to happen to the other guy?
We like basically across the board, every industry, Commissioner Hurd, there's a labor shortage. We have room, and we will find, we have positions available right now that we're lining up. So every one of those employees remain with us. Yes. At a job similar to or greater than, because a lot of them are training to become drivers, because now we need more drivers. So please, anybody, contact WM.com if you're interested in working for a great company. So thank you for allowing me to do that. Labor is an issue, yes.
We're used to seeing our garbage men, and we rely upon them. We're confident in their abilities, so we don't want them to lose their jobs.
Wait, who's the crew, Rocky Point?
So that would be, for recycle, that would be Sean Roberts and Devin James.
Just step up to the microphone.
As far as the drivers, we're currently running like 8 recycle routes right now. With this new program, the number of trucks we're running for recycle is now 12. So all those drivers will be either driving these side load vehicles, or they'll go to a rear load on sanitation, yard waste.
Terrific.
Sir, will you state your name for the record?
Dwayne Robinson.
Great. Anybody else?
So, Jeff, I'm just curious. Are the new trucks going to be blue, or are they going to be green?
Green.
So the pails are blue.
Yes. We wanted to distinguish the recycling blue versus, so we wanted to make it even more distinctive that only recyclables are to go into this cart. And you know, I won't say this publicly, but because but I'm on the record and I'm standing here. Yeah, that holds enough, as I said, where people may not have to put it out every single week. So you know, we're going to see how that impacts our routing. But we feel that the capacity of the cart, especially if you only put clean materials in it, and the blue is definitely for rice. And actually, your staff also like the yellow lid, because it's also distinctive, and it also, they'll be able to read the materials on it when it's embossed.
So when the city switched over to their larger container, didn't they go up by like 30% or something in volume in recycling?
Yes. Initial conversions from dual sort, from curbside sort to single stream, statistically generates an additional 30% of diversion. So this is going from a single stream bin to cart. We don't believe we're going to pick up a total, another 30%, but we do feel it'll be significant. Maybe 10, 15, possibly 20% of material. So, yeah.
Right, Joe. Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. Mr. Saban, can you speak to regular trash? This is, everything you've discussed so far is recycling. What will this mean to residents in regards to their regular trash?
Nothing has changed in terms of the material. It's unlimited pickup. It'll still be resident-provided garbage cans, containers, receptacles that we'll pick up. So really nothing changes with the residential collection. It's still that level of service contract that we have with you. There's no limit on what anyone can put out, including bulk materials. So we're adding clamshells as well. And our goal in this whole rollout, and one of the goals I think from the county's perspective, was to reduce our hours. So all of our drivers and teammates can put in a regular day's work and do it within a normal 5-day work week. So that's why we're adding, that's what Mr. Robinson indicated about the additional single stream fleet vehicles. We're going to reduce the size of the routes, so it makes it easier on our folks. So, but it doesn't change anything, and we are talking about, and we're working with your staff again regarding some day changes around the county, day changes for the collection of all the materials to align better with a zone and management. So, but that's next to come, and we'll be certainly transparent and communicative with y'all.
Thank you.
Jeff, your PowerPoint started to indicate it, but you have some trucks on display out in the parking lot. Those are the new compressed natural gas trucks. Tell us a little bit about those.
Sure, absolutely. New emerging technology, but also a wave of the future, and it is what waste management is embracing, is a conversion from the standard diesel fuel-powered vehicles to compressed natural gas. We're the leader in the industry in doing so. We believe that our commitment to sustainability, a cleaner environment, and reducing and lessening our carbon footprint is really part of our mission as a company. And so this conversion to compressed natural gas is part of that. And again, we're embracing it as a corporation across the nation. This is just reflective of how we're doing it. And these new trucks, the new technology, it's amazing. I think this is a Heil body and an auto car frame. And what it's come, and we were really blessed, but I think as a company, we had some leverage in acquiring and getting the trucks. We're actually ahead of schedule on delivery. We had in the county had contemplated giving us some additional time, but we're actually going to make it ahead of schedule. Those trucks are being delivered to us with incredible safety technology. I was explaining to some folks. It has basically what you have in a car. It has sensors all around, so it does sensor and automatically will slow the truck. Will warn the driver that they're too close to a car in front, and actually slow and eventually, if they have to, brake the vehicle. So, and we've got cameras on the rear, cameras all over the place, including sensors. So it's going to take, we're training every Saturday now, getting our folks acclimated to the new truck. It's, to Commissioner Smith, the technology is amazing. It takes a techie that's really good at video games. The incredible screen, and that you got to take a look. We'll come back. We'll reschedule. We'll do some demonstrations and things like that because we really want to show you all and the public the technology that we're providing to them. So, yeah.
Right, Commissioner Smith.
Jeff, just one last thing on that line. So, for the public, how is the natural gas getting from A to B? What is the process by which?
Certainly.
Do that?
And the infrastructure is almost complete, and it's the construction of what they call a K line, which is the gas carrying pipe feed fueling station that they set up and is being installed at our facility. And I think we're almost there. I think they have to do that. We have to actually have a separate generator installed in case of power failure and things like that. But we have a generator to run our entire facility in half of Hope Sound. I think we can run an extension cord over to Harold's place if need be. But
He's
yeah,
got a bigger generator than you guys are.
I know who's got the bigger generator? So the fueling station is there, and the source of fuel, and this is really kind of breakthrough because we're utilizing what they call tube trailers, and those are basically gas carrying trailers that are mobile. So I think long term, and to continue and finish the thought, is those trailers are fueled at our Pompano Beach facility where we have full gas pipeline capacity. So the trailers will be filled there. We have 3 of them in rotation. One will always be hooked up to the K line and a fueling capability. One will be backup and one will be transit. So that's our logistical plan to get gas and to remain and have gas. And one of our biggest questions was, okay, well, what about hurricane? What about those events? We have plenty of backup gas. We'll have plenty of backup gas. Actually, it'll be more readily available. We won't have to rely on the trucks coming across from Tampa with diesel, the things that happen during events. Hopefully we won't have that. But when we do, we'll certainly be ready, and we have the backup gas in those tube trailers.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank
Would
you.
you like to have your picture taken with our chairwoman?
That would be awesome with the cart.
Okay.
The team? Come on.
And the team.
The team.
The team, of course.
Stacy, put a proclamation in. Yeah. Jeff, you see that face from Sam? It was a straight up no.
Jeff.
Jeff, how many years are you with Waste Management? How many?
Started when you were 16, right?
Exactly. Thank you all.
Well, thank you for coming today.
Thank Laura.
Didn't you start when there was a maroon colored truck or something?
Arrow.
Like an arrow on it or something?
Okay, so we've completed our proclamations and presentations for our meeting today. We're going to move on to public comment. If you have not filled out a request to speak form and you would like to speak this morning, go ahead and fill that out and give to the bailiff. You have 3 minutes to comment. You will receive a warning just before your time is up. And our first speaker for this morning will be Terry Gifford, and Terry will be followed by Amy Pritchett. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Terry Gifford, and I own a home and reside at 4300 Southeast St. Lucie Boulevard, Lot 128 in Stuart, Florida. I'm here this morning to speak in opposition to a request later to waive the Martin County Code of General Ordinance, Section 5.3. Point D, which prohibits the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption within 50 feet of a residential zoning district, and no such sale shall be permitted in any district within 50 feet of a dwelling. I oppose it for the following reasons. It's in my backyard. The location is in violation of the guidelines. My home abuts directly to the subject property, 3869 Southeast Evans Terrace. My residence is 12 feet from their fire pit and approximately 25 feet from the tiki hut. We only have a chain link fence between the properties, so they're like really in my backyard. The tiki structure is less than 50 feet from residential zoning district and less than 50 feet from my house. Another reason is that the noise will increase. The tiki is not an enclosed building, but is an open on all sides with a concrete floor. Amplified voice and music are very much a problem. Because of the close proximity of the fire pit and the tiki, we can actually hear normal conversations and telephone calls with ease. We can also hear the noise in our bedroom with the windows closed and the AC operating. Another reason I oppose is because the parking may be inadequate. There are only 7 parking spaces, and a recent event had cars parking on the grass and the street, hindering traffic flow and creating hazardous conditions. Another reason is that the restroom facilities may be also inadequate. Restrooms are remote to the fire pit area. This may create conditions whereby guests might relieve themselves in the dark, dimly lit bushes right in my backyard. We live in a 55-plus community. We purchased there. We had no idea that a liquor establishment was going to be allowed to operate virtually in our backyard. Most residents in our area to retire early in the evening, and it is a violation of the peace and quiet we all expect in our homes. Again, I oppose granting the waiver to the existing ordinance, and I believe the current activity should be limited to daylight hours. And I believe that the very reason the ordinance exists is so the residents that own their homes.
Your time's up, sir. Thank you, though, for your comments. And I want to remind everybody, too, you can speak during general comment period, or you can speak on an item. You just cannot speak during both. So we have 2 more for general comment. We have Amy Pritchett, followed by Bob Zacchio.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here once again to discuss the Rocky Point traffic, health, and safety situation. We still don't have a resolution, and now I'm asking for the other commissioners to step in and help us resolve this situation. We were sent a survey some time ago. I sent mine back in, but in polling my neighbors, I'm going to guess only 2/3 of them even received the survey. So it isn't even a complete picture of what the neighbors want, because they didn't even receive the surveys. So I'm asking for some additional assistance with this. My second reason for being here is I sent you all a draft of a local authority to protect individuals from federal overreach in mandating that we receive the emergency use authorization shot. It is known that the federal government is in the process of trying to legislate this, and it is my opinion that local authority can step in and prevent that from happening. I have the resolution here. I wanted to hand it to you if you wouldn't mind. I didn't send it to you, but the other commissioners have it. And my third comment is I spent 8 hours at the City of Stewart meeting last night for the second reading for the Costco CPUD on Canner Highway. And I urge all of you to go to the comprehensive plan and update it. Make sure that you know what your future land uses are going to be, because at the end of the day, that's what they wrestled with, what this land should be used for. And had they made that decision previously, they may not have approved this project. And it was approved yesterday with the condition that all the native habitat be protected, which is very puzzling to me, because I don't know how they can do this and protect all the natural habitat that's there, the native plants, the wildlife, etc. So I'm asking that our county look at the comprehensive plan, and if there's any question mark as to what future land uses are going to be, that you take a look at them so that you don't end up in the same situation that the City of Stewart did. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And our next speaker during general public comment is Bob Zacchio.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just wanted to come up and do a little brief support of consent. I know you don't, it's not very often you get to have to do a support of a consent agenda item, but certainly I talked to Michelle Miller this morning from Health and Human Services and over the past couple weeks, and I just want to let you know how supportive I am of the reestablishment of the Drug and Alcohol Abuse Awareness Committee. We know that drug and alcohol use is and abuse, dependency, and so on is familial, it's progressive, it's fatal, it's chronic, it's primary, and it's unmanageable. And I really love this part where it's been added in the behavioral health issues. So adding that particular component into a committee like this is so super important, just in terms of just peeling away that onion. A lot of times we just see that drug, that alcohol abuse as the primary piece of it, and then we peel it back and we notice depression, anxiety, stress management, attention deficit, whatever's going on in that family. So I'm not up here to give a big dissertation, but I just want to let you guys know how supportive I am, particularly of this particular committee. I know that it hasn't maybe connected all the time with the commission, and I love that this part is really getting back front and center. So thank you guys for that. That's all I got.
Thank you, Bob. And the remaining speaker forms I have for Claudia Mays, Kathy Rethmeyer, and Tim Courts, I will save for public hearing quasi-judicial number 2, which we will be hearing later this morning. So with that, yes, we will take commission comments, and Commissioner Jenkins.
Couple things. I wanted to, bring to the attention of our business community something that I didn't realize was available to us until my much smarter child took advantage of it. We have in my company about, depending on what time of year, 110 to 130-ish people. We've heard from some of these some pretty lame excuses of why they haven't been vaccinated. we had a number of them express interest that if we could orchestrate a vaccination at our place of work, that they would participate. There was 5 of those. My daughter contacted the Martin County Health Department, and they said they would be more than happy to come out to our property and talk to our employees and vaccinate them. I had no idea that was available to us, and that's why I'm bringing that to everybody's attention. A nurse called named Mary Beth Pena came out. Amazing woman. Spoke fluent Spanish and English, obviously. Spent time with all of our employees. And at the end of the day, we had 23 of our employees take the vaccination. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up, and hopefully there's some businesses that in Martin County that would take advantage of that. So I thought it was worth bringing up. The next issue is a long time ago, told the people trying to put the Loxalucy program together that I would donate district funds once they had something really tangible to acquire. They have achieved that, and I will be spending $50,000 of my district funds to create a reimbursable grant to the conservation. I'm sorry, I should have wrote that down. I wrote everything else down. The Conservation Fund, the details of which are going to be worked out, because the Conservation Fund is who has the contract on this first acquisition piece of property. So our wonderful county attorney and Carolyn Timmons are working with them to work out all the details of how Carolyn can approve that funding. So I just kind of wanted to bring that to your attention. And when that actually comes to fruition, I'd also like to have some of the folks here for that announcement when we actually do fund it. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple things as well this morning. First and foremost, we this weekend went out to our new Seaside Cafe for breakfast on Saturday. It was great. It was packed. The food was absolutely fantastic, much to my just amazement that I would rival it with pretty much anybody's breakfast in town anywhere. So kudos to our staff. We got a few kinks in some of the systems out there we've got to fix so that they can do their job better. When we were in line, the computer system went down and they couldn't process, and I don't know what was going on with the computer, but I did communicate with Kevin just to let him know. But there's also, I guess, software that we really need to get and like get yesterday that is much more applicable to restaurant operations than maybe parks operations. And they know all about that. I'm just sharing with the public that if you experience that, we certainly apologize for any delay. But everybody that was there was really happy and perfectly willing to wait and deal with all that. Kind of along that line, another restaurant in town we went to breakfast on Sunday, and this whole shortage of staff and talent and whatnot is still very real in our community. And so we waited because I thought it was important to support our restaurant, and some people were really furious that they had to wait and their patience wasn't really that good. So I would encourage folks, if you run into that situation, it's not a perfect world yet. We're not back at 110% like we would normally be. And I would encourage everybody just to understand that the people behind the chef's kitchen wall they're humans too. And that, things don't always go perfect, but they really tried hard, and the staff, I think, was really frustrated that they couldn't do more than they could do with what they had for staff. So anyway, if y'all could cut everybody some slack out there and make sure that everybody has patience, that would be great for our businesses, because I'm sure they'll appreciate it. And Amy, I think to your comment about the city with the land use and zoning, 30 or 40 years ago, the opportunity that we didn't take advantage of here in the county with growth management, when I think actually by law we were required to way back when, and we just never did. When land use was created, and we had zoning in place in 1967, but land use came along in the early 80s, we were required, and everybody was required to rezone appropriately to that land use, and that didn't happen. And that's why through the 90s and the early 2000s, there were so many rezonings that we would end up having to do here at the commission that we don't quite see at the level at which we see, because they weren't brought into compliance way back when. So if somebody came in and you had a land use that wasn't consistent with where things were supposed to occur, you ended up having to do that, and that should have all been done at one time, and it wasn't. So, I think if on the growth management side of life, if that had been done years and years ago, we'd have somewhat of a different community and maybe a little bit better planned out in terms of where things happen and when and why, but that didn't happen. And so, I don't know on the city side of things exactly what their experience level was with that, but that's why we see from time to time things that don't seem to make sense to the community. But we're faced with having to bring things into current compliance with where they're supposed to be and how they're supposed to function. So, yeah.
Interject there?
Sure.
And it's my understanding during annexation that the conversation kept coming up with this CASO that if the land use was applied during annexation, it would have been easier for all parties to understand.
And that's fair enough. And I assume, Sarah, that the city is obliged to be able to do the same that we do, even if the land use was applied when an annexation occurred. If that wasn't consistent or it wasn't what an applicant was looking for, you could bring it into, as long as it met all the contiguous rules of what was adjacent to it and so on, based upon their comp plan, you could align it with what made sense. Anyway, I don't know that we need to go into a whole growth management conversation. I just wanted to share on that comment that, a lot of things could have been done 30 or 40 years ago that weren't done, and it would have made it perhaps better, but on the annexations, they are what they are.
Yeah, they just send us a notification that this property.
No, I know on our side, but on their side.
Right.
I don't know what their comp plan requires them relative to adjacent land uses and zonings.
Yeah, we don't.
We have a whole process that we go through on our side of that equation.
Right.
That if you all have sat through a comp plan amendment, staff goes through great lengths examining and exploring and defining what land uses can be adjacent, and our comp plan aligns all of that, or at least it tries to.
Yes, I don't disagree, and I think probably in this case, when they did the annexation, there was discussions with the staff about what the property owners who requested the annexation into the city of Stewart were annexing for. That's typically the way it works.
Anyway, I don't know if that helps, hurts, or whatever. It's just things might have been a lot different if we had done some things years ago that we just didn't do. So anyway, that's it on that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good morning. 3 positive things happening, 2 in Palm City and the 3rd everywhere. I wanted to congratulate Martin County North Little League 12U. They had been up in Georgia playing baseball as they hope to advance towards the Little League World Series. I'm happy to report that yesterday they beat a team from Georgia 4-0 to advance to further up the ladder for the Little League World Series that will be played in Williamsport. They're on their way again. The team has done remarkably well. I'd like to congratulate the players, the coaches, and the families that have done that. These games are actually aired on ESPN2. I'm not sure. I was trying to look to see. I'm not sure when the next game is being played, but I know that yesterday's game, last night, was really a remarkable game. These are children, obviously, but it's got all of the benefits and the excitement that the regular World Series lead-up would have. So I congratulate them, and I encourage all Martin County residents to sort of follow along either on social media or even watch it on ESPN.
Did that allow them to move to?
Yes, they're going on to these.
Yeah, because I thought I saw that on Facebook last night.
Yeah,
there was
they're on their way. There's a couple of tiers. It's not like the World Series game like in Major League Baseball. There's a couple of tiers. They play regionally, but advanced in a big game against a great team out of Georgia, and the kids just look great. The coaching's great. The families are up there to support them. And this is national. This is, kids from Martin County, Florida playing at the national level. And so it's really fantastic. The other thing I'd like to announce and make mention of is this coming Saturday, barring any, terrible weather issues that might be coming our way, we are having our grand opening and ribbon cutting of the beautiful project that Map Road has been in Palm City. And there have been so many people that have been working towards this goal for decades. And we're going to celebrate some of them this Saturday, August 14th from 10 a.m. to 12. We're actually going to close a section of Map Road so that we can really just put out some tents and highlight local businesses. There'll be lots of different things to do and see and visit. So short of any terrible weather, we're going to be having this event. It's in collaboration with our CRA department. Susan Corris and Jordan and others in her department have done remarkable work. Tim Taylor and the Sunshine Land Design folks, they're people during a pandemic, during rain, hot, sweltering, they are out there working. I work right off of Map Road, so I've seen it every single day. It has turned out beautifully. There's still a couple of things that'll need to be done, but I think it is a historic day in Palm City. One that there's so many people to thank. And that's just really the first phase. We have a handful of other things going on in the next couple of months out there, along with the Parks and Rec Department, our Ripple project, things between the fire station and Rec Centel's office. There's just too many exciting things happening to even mention. And so come out if you have the ability this Saturday between 10 and 12. To see how beautiful the project has done. Some people are saying, there's too much landscaping and things like that. It's forcing us to slow down and drive through that area. That's exactly what the plan was. It's not meant to be, Map Road was never meant to be just a quick pass-through between Martin Highway and Martin Downs Boulevard. It's sort of Palm City's downtown. It's going to be a revitalization. We've already heard, and we'll be mentioning it in the future, a lot of businesses that are existing that are stepping up to sort of, now that the county has done this road and revitalization with traffic lights and landscaping, they feel positive about investing in their own businesses versus just that Map Road didn't have the allure to draw people in. Now it does. And I'm also happy to say that there's a couple of businesses that are already looking to build and open brand new businesses. So everything that we had hoped this project would do, it is doing. So I'm very happy, as you can tell. And finally, although I don't have any school-aged children anymore, two of our commissioners are still in the children, school-aged children business. One will be soon enough. Schools start today. Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
How come everyone's posting all these pictures? Meet the teachers.
Freshman orientation.
Yeah, because on Facebook, my Facebook is huge with everyone with those front of the first day of school pictures. I think today was TCCA's first day and a couple other schools. So today, tomorrow, schools are open. Drive more carefully. Summer's over. The kids are back out on bikes, walking, but also especially the school zones. School zones are 20 miles per hour. There are volunteers and some paid professionals that are crossing guards that are literally risking their lives to make sure that children get to school safely. Please, even this morning, the crossing guards were out and people are driving in a 20-mile-an-hour school zone. They got to be doing 40. They're doing faster than the regular speed limit during the school zone. And we don't need any tragedies. No family wants to deal with that just because they sent their kids to school. So please drive carefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So Ed,
Since you have a school-aged child.
Yeah, well, no, it's not a child thing yet. No, we have hopefully a couple of years to go before that. No, Ed, I just want to congratulate you on your Map Road. I was out there a week or so ago, and when Rex did his building, it kind of looked like it was a little bit out of place. Like it was like, okay, that's kind of weird, like
Up to the street.
all the things that don't seem to fit. And now it looks like it was exactly the way it was planned to be, and I'm happy for him, but I'm happy for you guys that thing has finally come to be, and it's looking really, really super good. Congratulations.
Right. Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, Commissioner Jenkins, it's inspiring to learn that you had such a high turnout at your vaccination. The COVID numbers in Martin County are appalling. In June, our total number of infections was 312. In July, our total number of infections was 1,757. Also, the age demographic for the infections has completely flipped. Now, the age group most impacted by infection are 15 to 24. From July 30 to August 5th, Martin County residents had 625 new infections. Please, please, please get a vaccination. They're safe and they're effective and they save lives. On last Friday, my husband and I went to Stewart Beach to have lunch. And last Friday was much like every day lately. It was just ridiculously hot. And we sat under the Chickee, which is gorgeous, and had lunch. Stewart Beach, Martin County residents, Martin County taxpayers, you own this facility. Please go to it and enjoy it. The boardwalks are spectacular. The sea grapes are beautiful. The landscaping is wonderful. The Seaside Cafe is terrific. The food is great. If you don't want to go to the Seaside Cafe on the eastern part of the park, it's a beautifully landscaped area full of gazebos that have picnic tables under them, so they're perfect for picnics. It's just a wonderful, wonderful amenity. It's yours, so by all means use it. Also, commissioners, as you know, our Army colonels cycle through here on a regular basis, and we're always sad when they leave. But in September, we are going to be particularly impacted by Colonel Kelly's moving on, and it's probably too late to invite him to join us so that we can thank him in person. I would like to extend that invitation, but if he can't, then at least let's send a letter of appreciation to Colonel Kelly. He has been extraordinary. He's had dealing with the pandemic, putting together a loathsome schedule that would have been demanding under any circumstances, but with loathsome limitations, it was really difficult. And the Army Corps has done a remarkable job of putting together with all the stakeholders. They've done a marvelous job of trying to create a new and fair schedule for the management of Lake Okeechobee. And also, Rocky Point speed ballots were sent out sometime within the last month. Over 1,550 homes were polled. Ballots were sent out in order to ensure fairness. The ballots were sent to the supervisor of elections so that she could count them, so that there could be no charges of any funny business. So those were all due on August 5th. So the supervisor of elections will be notifying us, I'm sure, shortly, how the people in Rocky Point want to how they want to regulate speed in Rocky Point. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And I have a couple things. Commissioner Campy, I think, hit most of my list. Congratulations again to Martin County North Little League, who will be moving on to Pennsylvania. And as a parent of school-age children, I am excited that tomorrow will be the first day of their back to school. It's always nice when we embark on summer, and it's always nice when we go back to school. So I wish all the school children a very safe and successful year back to school. And congratulations, Commissioner Campy, on your MAP Road. Look forward to that on Saturday. It looks beautiful. I've had a chance to drive through there, and that makes me even more excited for the Golden Gate Dixie Highway project we have going between Indian and Jefferson. I did have a chance to go through with staff a couple weeks ago, and we are doing some minor tweaks. There was a particular cutout that Marty Transit uses to go to Lamar Howard Park, and that particular intersection was blocked off with a median and could not be accessed. So that was pushing that transit traffic all the way down through the neighborhood and back, and making it difficult to get to the bus stop. And we wanted to ensure that part of the problem is that we have pedestrians crossing, and it's a very dangerous stretch of that road. And we've had some safety issues and a fatality with pedestrians crossing. And we want to ensure that the crosswalks are appropriate. There's enough of them, and they're in appropriate positions so that safety is our number one priority in those pedestrians crossing. So we will continue to tweak that project. And Commissioner Smith, do you have a comment?
Yeah,
on it?
thank you, Madam Chair, for taking that on. I had a friend, longtime friend, reach out to me, and I asked them to reach out to your office because it's not my district, and I'm glad that you took care of that and addressed the issue, because they were really concerned about some of the design features. But thank you very much for taking the lead on that.
Yes. So, it's great when we design a project, but it has to also make sense in real time, real life. And we want the project to achieve, all the great things that it should. And so I look forward to getting it moving and doing it so that it turns out to be a great and safe project. So, and that is all I have today. And we have
Nothing from me?
No. Nothing from Ms. Woods? Yes.
Do you know what the timeline is on the changes? Did they give you that at all?
George mentioned that they
Jim's
had
here.
some. Go ahead.
Jim has that.
Jim Gordon, Public Works Director.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we have submitted the proposed design change to DOT. DOT, because it's a DOT-funded project, they can weigh in on those proposed changes. That's where it stands right now. Once we hear back from them, we'll be able to get the contractor back out there. So it's going to be, a couple of weeks delay, but we don't foresee there being a problem with what we've proposed.
So as soon as DOT gets back to us, we can continue.
Correct. Yep, and the contractor's just been put on hold, and he'll be able to get back out there pretty soon.
Mind if I?
Go ahead.
So, would it be helpful to you, for us as a commission to send a letter supporting that, just to make sure that they know that this is super important to get fixed? And
Anytime you weigh in on things, that's helpful. But our discussions with their staff leads us to believe that it is going to go through. But a letter is always.
I think in an abundance of caution,
Yeah.
a letter would probably be appropriate.
Okay.
I'm sure that I would move for your signature that we draft a letter of support for the changes as requested, and to expedite them as quickly as possible so we can get the contractor back on task.
Great. And thank you for doing that. Commissioner Smith, the motion on the floor by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Campy. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Jim, for the update. Okay. Sarah. All right, we are moving on to our regular agenda items, and we have a board and committee appointment. B&C 1 Value Adjustment Board appointment presented by Donna Gordon.
Donna Gordon for the record. This is for the Value Adjustment Board. It was continued from July 13 because of a tie vote. And Mrs. Diane Castellucci received 3 votes. Ms. Marianne Miller received 2 votes.
Move Ms. Castellucci.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor for the value adjustment appointment by Commissioner Hurd, seconded by Commissioner Campy. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, and congratulations to Diane. And we will move on to public hearing number 1, public hearing and final assessment resolution for the Southeast Flamingo Drive South Municipal Service Benefit Unit. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Chris Getzfried. I'm a senior project engineer with Capital Projects. The Board of County Commissioners is requested to hold a public hearing and adopt the final assessment resolution for the Southeast Flamingo Drive South Municipal Benefit Unit to allow a road paving project and to certify the special assessment roll to the tax collector. The Public Works Department is in receipt of a majority ballot from the property owners on Southeast Flamingo Drive for the county to pave and perpetually maintain 660 feet of Flamingo Drive south of Duncan Street to its terminal end near Jonathan Dickinson Park. The Southeast Flamingo Drive is a open right-of-way, but it is presently privately maintained. It's not a paved road, it's a dirt road. There are 8 properties in the proposed area. The affected property owners were sent ballots, and those ballots had an estimated cost between $12,878 and $16,097 per property. The final tally of the ballots received had indicated 6 properties for and 2 properties against. There were 0 no votes. On July 13th of 2021, the Board of County Commissioners adopted the initial assessment resolution to establish the Flamingo Drive South Municipal Service Benefit Unit. Based on the final design and assuming a county contribution is made, the initial prepayment amount is at $14,652 per unit, per parcel, which is within the estimated range. Amortizing the project over 10 years would result in an annual payment of $1,811 per property. As required by the initial assessment resolution, a copy of the preliminary assessment roll for the project has been prepared and is available and open to the public in the office of the county administrator. As required by the initial assessment resolution, notice of a public hearing was published and mailed via first-class mail to each property owner within the proposed assessment area at least 20 days prior to the public hearing on August 10th, 2021. The final assessment resolution completes the final authorizing the imposition of the assessment for the Southeast Flamingo Drive South Municipal Service Benefit Unit. In addition to the resolution establishing the municipal benefit unit, there's a second resolution for opening the Southeast Sharon Drive right-of-way. Should the board decide to include the extension of Southeast Sharon Street to Southeast Flamingo Drive, staff recommends that portion of the Southeast Sharon Street be included in the county's roadway inventory as an open road. Since staff's recommendation to include a portion of Southeast Sharon Street results in a safer and more accessible neighborhood, which is in the interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the county, the board may consider funding 25% of the cost of the paving of Flamingo and Sharon Street. That would result in a $29,405 contribution, and the balance of $117,217 would be assessed to the property owners. If authorized, the following road characteristics would be added to the county road inventory upon completion of construction and acceptance by the county engineer. An additional 226 feet of Sharon Street connecting Flamingo Drive to the already paved portion of Sharon Street. And then the balance of the existing conditions, 40-foot right-of-way, would be maintained. Staff's recommendations are that the board move to adopt the final assessment resolution for Southeast Flamingo Drive South Municipal Service Benefit Unit. Move that the board certify and approve the special assessment roll to the tax collector by September 15th, 2021, and move that the board adopt a resolution to accept Southeast Sharon Street, 226 feet east of Flamingo Drive South, into the county's road inventory.
Okay, thank you. That comes back to the board for discussion, and
Do we have any public comment on this?
I have no public speaker forms, but if you wish to public comment, this is a public hearing, and anybody in the gallery wish to comment? Seeing none.
With that, I would like to move staff's approval, or move approval of staff's recommendation.
Okay. Commissioner Smith.
Discussion before we do that.
Okay.
I seem to recall last month we just had this conversation about how we're treating converting dirt roads to asphalt roads and so on. And so how does this fit into, I thought that the direction of the decision we came to was that we were going to add that into one of the dirt roads inside the urban service boundary were going to be added into a certain category of what we were going to take care of.
In the CIP. Excuse me, in the CIP.
CIP. So does this not fall into that?
Jim Gorton, Public Works Director, for the record. This roadway was in the Tier 3 roadways in that presentation, so it's a privately maintained road that's in the urban service boundary. So it was a Tier 3 project, which is what we proposed a 25% contribution for. So this fits exactly what we proposed to you in that meeting.
So I forget, Jim, and maybe time has passed some. So there were 4 tiers, right, that we had, or 5?
There's 5 tiers, and then the 6th tier. The first tier is publicly maintained unpaved roads in the urban service district. The second tier is publicly maintained unpaved roads outside the urban service district. The Tier 3s are 2 types, both paved and unpaved inside the urban service district, which is 1. And then Tier 4 is the unpaved outside of the urban service district. And the last one is the paved outside the urban service district.
And I thought, at least what I recall, and I thought this was in the motion, maybe it wasn't, is that we were going to treat them as if they were all to be brought into the CIP and that we would handle them over a period of time and that we, county, would be taking care of them.
There was a board direction, I believe, for a funding strategy to come back to us.
Yeah. That's my understanding as well, is that we have to come back with a funding strategy to bring those items in. This project has been worked on for about 2 years now. It came in.
I appreciate all of that, and I don't want to stop it other than we just had a conversation last month about this. And my concern is that if this passes, we're going to assess them for doing this, and we may come up with a funding strategy that says, no, those tiers 1 through 5, 1 through 4, we're going to put into a long-term funding strategy, and we're going to put that into our road inventory as all of our other roads are brought into that. And so I don't want to say that maybe this is premature, and if it's been worked on that long, but I just, this is kind of one of those conundrum timelines that if we were to adopt next month, 2 months from now, a funding strategy, can we reimburse them for what they've already paid?
No. I think you'd be setting yourself up for all the other ones that we've done. This is a health and safety issue. That's why it's come. Well, but this one particularly, the emergency services can't access a portion of the neighborhood.
I'll support it. This is one of those things I think this is our responsibility. I think this is something we should be doing as a county. I thought that was the conversation we just had a month ago. And I'm feeling like we're assessing these folks when in 2 months we wouldn't be assessing them if we adopt a strategy and a policy.
We are bringing that back to you with some funding strategies, but it's going to be a big lift to be able to pave all of the roads that are not currently maintained in Martin County.
We talked about 10 years. I get all that. But if I, and this has happened with water and sewer too before, like we've done neighborhoods and now we've kind of changed the direction of how we're doing that some. Anyway, I just, and I don't want to hold your project up, but at the same time, if we're going to adopt a policy in 2 months and we're going to adopt a funding strategy, would this not be the first one on the list that would apply to that?
I would say that we also have a number of MSBUs on other roadways that are still paying their 10 years of payments. So that's something that we're going to address with the policy that we bring back to you.
Jim, I appreciate that, but
we did the south side of Flamingo, a year and a half ago?
The north side of Flamingo's one. We have a bunch of Palm City Farms that we did. They're still paying their assessments as well. So that'll be part of the policy discussion that we bring back to you, is how to handle these MSBUs that pre-existed prior to a change in our philosophy.
Mr. Donaldson?
Just want to add that I think the chances of getting to this tier 3 is a heavy lift. The first 2 tiers of those that are already county owned and maintained facilities may be something that could be achievable by this board over time. The other tiers would require a significant new funding source like a sales tax or something like that. So given our limitations in taxation and other things, it's just, I think, while you may be able to adopt a goal this next year, I don't think that this project would fall within the probability of having a funding source that you could achieve.
So how much is the total project today?
This project?
Yeah.
This project is approximately 150.
Mm-hmm. Is there a second?
No, so we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jenkins and now a second by Commissioner Hurd. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion by Commissioner Jenkins, seconded by Commissioner Hurd. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And that brings us to our 10:30 hour, and we will need to take a 10-minute closed captioning break, and we will return at 10:40.
You're actually 2 minutes early. We stopped the land.
You're on. Okay. Okay, good morning and welcome back to our August 10th Board of County Commission meeting. Back from our closed captioning break, and we will resume with public hearing number 2. Public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Article 3, Division 6, redevelopment overlay districts, Martin County Land Development Regulations, and Martin County Code. Presented by Irene Settlemeyer. Good morning.
Morning, Chairman Hetherington and Board of County Commissioners. Irene Settlemeyer, Principal Planner with the Growth Management Director. This agenda item is a housekeeping matter. The proposed ordinance repeals Section 3.260, Community Redevelopment Overlay Districts, and Section 3.266, Indiantown Redevelopment Overlay District. In the Land Development Regulations, the adoption of Article 4, the Community Redevelopment Code, and the adoption of the Land Development Regulations by the Village of Indiantown in November of 2020 superseded Sections 3.260 and 3.266, and this agenda item is the last step necessary to remove these sections from the codified version of the Land Development Regulation. Staff's recommendation is that the board move to adopt the ordinance repealing Section 3.260 and Section 3.266 and reserving Article 3, Division 6 in the Martin County Land Development Regulations. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
It's in brief. That comes back to the board for any comments.
Move to approve.
Okay. Okay, so we will also take public comment. Anybody wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jenkins, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving right along to public hearing number 3, public hearing to consider amending Article 3 zoning districts to provide for the revised development standards and setbacks, land development regulations, and Martin County Code, presented by, it's like Pete Walden and Paul Schilling. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Peter Walden with the Growth Management Department. I'm here with Paul Schilling, the Growth Management Director.
Where's Mary?
On her way.
You gotta be old enough to know that joke.
We haven't heard that one.
Not from me.
This is a public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Article 3 Land Development Regulations, Martin County Code, to provide consistency and clarity for development standards and setbacks. The development standard tables in Section 3.12 Land Development Regulations apply to 38 Category A zoning districts and 15 Category B zoning districts. It does not apply to the 24 Category C zoning districts that have their own development standard criteria. In case you were doing the math, that's 77 zoning districts.
Oh, very witty.
I'm going to go through the development standards tables. I've highlighted the changes proposed. And we'll start with the first one is adding a note to the RM8 district. This note explains that there is an available maximum density, maximum density for RM8 districts is 10 units per acre for sites meeting the affordable housing criteria set forth in the comprehensive plan policies. This is similar to the Note G for the RM10 districts, which allows 15 units if affordable housing criteria is met. The next change proposed is in the 4 mobile home districts to go from 1 story and 20-foot height to 2 stories and 25 feet height. This is to add some resiliency to the mobile home districts. Many of them are in low-lying areas or on the waterfront. This will enable replacement homes to be put up on pilings with a finished floor underneath for parking. The next change recommended is adding a note to the Core 1, Core 2, and WRC districts. This refers to multifamily home development. You'll see that that note applies to all the other multifamily home districts. The note basically says that the minimum lot area and minimum lot width requirements shall not apply to zero lot line townhome or multifamily developments going forward. The next change is for 5 of the Category B districts. They have been left with only a 25% building coverage allowance. The proposed is to change them to 35% building coverage. See, on the Category A zoning districts, we don't even have a requirement for building coverage, as we're more concerned with the amount of units and the overall minimum open space. So to make it more consistent, at least with the other Category Bs, we've recommended going to 35% building coverage. Also, in the R1A district, we're eliminating the note for D. It's the only zoning district that has that note. And it is basically waterfront lots shall have a minimum width of 60 feet along the street frontage and 100 feet in width along the waterway. There's several dozen lots in the existing R1A districts that are non-conforming to that piece of code. And the R1A district already has an 85-foot lot width requirement. So we don't feel like this is necessary, and it also causes some issues with the non-conforming lots. The next one is we've added the height requirement for WE1. We've changed that, recommended the change to go to 30 feet from 25. The WE1 is an estate district, and with usually pretty large homes. And our modern development, most people have a hard time doing a 2-story home within 25 feet building allowance. And some people have actually rezoned just to get that extra 5 feet. So the next table is 3.122, the structure setbacks. We've recommended a couple changes. The first one is in the HR1 district. It currently has a code that states that the front yard setback is 35 feet, except if you're on the water. Then you flip the front setback to the rear setback, and you use the center line setbacks as set forth in subsection 3.16C. This is a little confusing, and it also applies a center line setback to many private streets which are exempt from that center line setback. So it leaves staff in a little bit of a conundrum there. And the 35-foot rear setback is problematic, as most of the lots in the HR1 are only 100 feet deep. So a 35-foot setback is pretty arduous to meet. And we have many, many variances over the last 20 years in those areas just to get to the 25 feet. And a lot of the traditional development doesn't even meet that. In the R1 district, we're recommending just adding the paren E, which is a note regarding waterfront setbacks, just in case there is a side yard that fronts the waterfront. In the R1B, we're keeping the note, but we're changing the front requirement to 20 feet and changing the note to read that the rear setback would be a minimum of 25 feet, which meets our shoreline protection zone criteria. Right now, it has the same thing as the HR1, where you flip the front setback to the rear, but the front setback is only 20 feet, so that would be not consistent with our shoreline protection code. The other criteria changed is in the WE1. Again, we're keeping the note because it's very particular to the WE1 Estate Zone District. Change the front setback to 35 feet, and the rear setback would stay at 50, and also addresses the mean high water line as the criteria for that existing code. So those are basically the changes. I don't think I've skipped over anything. Staff recommends the approval of the ordinance for the changes to the code, and we'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, that comes back to the board. Anyone have any additional questions?
Really well done.
Very thorough.
Compelling.
Okay, that comes back to the board for discussion. And or a
to accept
motion.
Staff's recommendation.
Second.
I owe
Oh.
it to them.
And is there any public that wishes to comment on this item? Seeing none. We have a motion by Commissioner Campy.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Now,
Commissioners.
I'm going to move things around. I'm going to give staff a chance. We're going to take public hearing number 4 now, but following public hearing number 4, we're going to take public hearing quasi judicial number 2, since there are some people in the gallery that, so if staff could just be ready to take that item following public hearing number 4.
Commissioners?
Yes?
So the quasi judicial number 1 relates to public hearing number 4, though you.
Okay, so then that would put us pretty much in order, so.
Staff can do a consolidated.
No good deed goes unpunished.
All right, well.
So,
Can only be one benevolent.
that's right. Okay, public hearing number 4, legislative public hearing to consider adoption of comprehensive plan amendment, CPA 21-02, Federal Highway and Ridgeway Terrace.
Hi, good morning. For the record, Maria Jo, Senior Planner with the Growth Management Department. My presentation today is regarding CPA 21-02. Today is the adoption hearing regarding this small-scale amendment. So the applicant is Grove Bluff LLC, represented by Gunster Law Firm. The proposed future land use map amendment is to change the parcel from medium density residential to general commercial, and there's a concurrent rezoning to GC as well proposal. So as we can see here on the map, highlighted in blue is the subject site. The subject site is 1.38 acres, and it's located on the west side of Southeast Federal Highway, near the intersection of Southeast Ridgeway Terrace and Southeast Federal Highway, Hope Sound. So real quick, I just want to show a map. Once again, highlighted in blue is the subject site. This is a map that shows the PAMP, Preserve Area Management Plan. So as you can see in this map, it indicates that the subject site is surrounded by preserve area. That's part of the MacArthur Golf Club site plan. So everything that you see surrounding the subject site is upland preserve. So to the north of the subject site is the preserve area, to the west as well. And then to the south, there's a small building, that's just the Comcast hub. And then further south is the preserve area once again. And to the east, there's general commercial and mobile home future land use. And there's a repair plaza, Publix that's currently under construction, and the Ridgeway mobile home community, as well as the Hope Sound fire station. So this is the proposed future land use map, where the subject site, as we can see, is proposed to be changed to general commercial. Staff recommends approval. Do you have any questions? Please let me know. Thank you.
Okay. Is this an staff? Okay. Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, looking at the existing uses and the future land use map, this looks like an enclave to me that is completely inconsistent with the surrounding uses. I mean, can you tell me where else in the county we have a 1.38 acre parcel that's land use general commercial completely surrounded by a PAMP?
Is the question, are there any other parcels in the county?
Yeah. We generally have very strict rules for where we allow general commercial because it's it creates intensive impacts. But yet staff is making a recommendation for approval of inserting an enclave of general commercial on a large lot in the middle of a preserve area that's land used for medium density residential.
Clyde Doolin for the record. No, Commissioner, I do not know of another circumstance that's exactly like this. This is unusual in that there is a preserve area surrounding this parcel and the Comcast parcel, which is lot 17 shown on this drawing. This is a property fronting Southeast Federal Highway, and there are general commercial uses across the street. It's unlikely that this is going to be developed for 8 units to the acre residential, which is what the land use is on it right now, because that would be an interesting little 8 units to the acre fronting Federal Highway. But I guess that is possible. But no, in direct answer to your question, I do not know, cannot point to another circumstance exactly like this.
Commissioner Smith.
Clyde or Maria, I mean, whoever wants to answer. So the red is which land use?
Medium density residential.
And that's been there for how long?
It hasn't been, what you see here, it hasn't been changed recently. It's been since the comp plan.
Since probably the beginning of time when it was land used.
Yes, in 1982.
So prior to MacArthur becoming MacArthur, that was medium density?
Yes, it's medium density owned by MacArthur, and the low density residential is also owned by MacArthur to the west.
You know, I understand that, but I mean predating the golf course or the MacArthur, was it a PUD originally?
I don't know if it's a PUD or not. It's but it is an approved final site plan.
I guess my point is when MacArthur came in to do their site plan, there was a preserve area management plan or a PAMP put on that entire area over those land uses and zonings.
That's correct.
So the idea that the consistency of it being adjacent to something as a preserve area still has the underlying land use sitting there. It just happens to have a preserve area as a result of the site plan and the PAMP that was put on there since its inception.
That's correct.
Thanks.
Does the applicant have a presentation for this?
Good morning. Sorry, I'm
You're still in evening
foggy
time.
here.
We understand.
You have the same suit.
Good morning. For the record, Bob Raines here on behalf of the applicant, and I would like to start off by showing having the return receipts submitted for the notices to the surrounding property owners. Commissioners, yeah, we're here today requesting a land use amendment and later a zoning change for properties that we believe today the existing land use designation of medium density along US 1 is no longer an appropriate land use designation. And so therefore what would be the appropriate one given its location on US 1, and Josh Long will come up in a second and give you a little bit more detail on this. Its location on US 1 and the intersection at Ridgeway Terrace, the general commercial, we believe makes the most sense. So we agree with your staff recommendation, and we also went to the LPA and received a unanimous approval at that meeting also. So at this time, let me let Josh Long come up and he can give you a little bit more detail on it.
Good morning. For the record, Josh Lawn, ASP certified planner with the Gunster Law Firm. In my presentation today, I've covered both the flume and the rezoning because they are intertwined together, but I'm going to go through in each.
Actually, it's a little hard to hear you. So.
I'm sorry. Is that better? I'll lean over. Okay, we need a longer mic. All right. As you can see, and want to thank staff for working with us. They've been great on working this, and they covered a lot of stuff in the presentation, so I won't go through some of these slides. I will go through some of these slides kind of quickly. So this is our request, the CPA 2102 Flume Inner rezoning. This is an aerial of the site highlighted in blue. As you can see, it's at the lighted intersection of Southeast Ridgeway Terrace and Southeast Federal Highway. So this is the slide I think is the most important slide. What you have here, this is the actual master plan for the MacArthur Golf Club. Okay, and so I've outlined, there are actually two parcels at this intersection, this commercial node. We are the northern parcel, so there's a parcel to the south that's currently occupied by a Comcast switching facility. It's been there for quite some time. So this little green box that you have has always been set out aside for the beginning of when MacArthur was established. And as a professional planner, if I had to go back 35 years or so to determine why they set that out and left it separate from the MacArthur plan, it would be because this is located at a prominent intersection, a lighted intersection, thus establishing a commercial node. And a commercial node is an important planning principle where you try to have commercial on a major street at a lighted intersection because that is where the most volume and the trips of traffic are going to be. It makes the most sense to have commercial activity there. It's currently zoned R3A, which is the predecessor to GC. So that's one of our rezoning requests. But even though that multifamily land use goes up and down, that land is actually part of the preserve. So they did things differently back then. Today they'd have that, changed to conservation or another land use that'd be more appropriate, but it's currently multifamily. So that's why when you look at that's when you look at the future land use map in a vacuum by itself, it looks a little strange. But when you look at actually what's approved and what's actually there, which is a preserve, which can't change unless authority from you happens to change that. So this actually is a really good location for a commercial use. In fact, it's almost what we always wish for when we have general commercial is, do you have a large buffer between you and the adjacent residential? And here we do. We have a large buffer, over 650 feet of preserve that can't be changed without modification from you between us and the adjacent residential. So I thought this was probably the most important slide to really show you the context of what's there, what's on the actual MacArthur Golf Club master plan. So I'm sorry, I should have clicked that earlier. So there is our site. As I mentioned, there were two, identical 1.3 acre sites that were created. The south one is the Comcast, not part of this application, but the vacant one in blue is our application. So actually, you can see the wetlands map here. We are actually outside of the wetlands, and you can see where the upland preserved is located on your wetlands map. And so this is a comparison of the existing future land use and then general commercial, which I said, when you look at it in a vacuum, it looks a little funny, but you have to understand that that other multifamily is part of the MacArthur master plan. So here's the zoning map showing the R3A, which, as Bob had mentioned, is inappropriate land use, requires a mandatory rezoning. And also another important factor, GC is appropriate for your evacuation zones. And this is a major street. This is the proper location for general commercial because it is on a major arterial road. So here is, we have existing utilities, so there's no expansion. Utilities are required. We do have water, and potable water and sanitary right outside the property. So once again, just to recap the key issues, the property is vacant. It's never been developed. It's got multifamily land use, which is inappropriate, and the property zoning is inconsistent with the future land use. R3A zoning requires a mandatory rezoning. Natural buffers do exist between us and the adjacent residential. General commercial is the most appropriate zoning for this property, and the property is strategically located at an important intersection along a major arterial road on a hurricane evacuation route, and staff is recommending approval of our GC land use and zoning. So we do ask for your support. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for the applicant? No. Okay. Public comment. Do we, does anybody in the gallery wish to comment on this item? Sir? No, you can't speak from there. You come up to the microphone, and when you're done, can you fill out one of these requests to speak form and give to the bailiff? And just please state your name for the record.
My name is Tim Courts. I was just really taken back by the processes that you guys, I've This is the first time I've attended such an event. And what I'm finding is so much of your work is in making it possible for everybody in Martin County to live in peace and harmony, to coexist, to fit everything together. That seems to be the majority of your work here for what I've seen today. And I really commend you on that. The first time I drove into Martin County, I was very taken by, it was high rise and high rise and high rise. And all of a sudden, wow, where are we? It's Martin County. And so it's a very special place. And I do recognize the difficulty in developing at the same time and preserving the taste and the feel of Martin County. And that's really all I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Does anybody else wish to comment? Okay, comes back to board for discussion and deliberation.
Move to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion. I have a quick question for staff, and this is a comp plan amendment, and so did it go to the LPA prior to July 1st?
Yes.
Because I recently learned about a private property rights element that has to be initiated.
Yes.
It sounds, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because like I said, I just briefly learned about it, and that has to be adopted by the county prior to not this particular comp plan amendment, but others moving forward.
Sure. So, Krista Story with the County Attorney's Office. So a recent enactment of a piece of legislation will require all local governments to adopt a property rights element into their comprehensive plan, and there's language given in the statute regarding that. So that was effective on July 1st. So plan amendments that were initiated, the language in the statute talks about initiated prior to July 1st, can move forward. There has been various guidance by the Department of Economic Opportunity on this, and in fact, your staff is bringing forward an agenda item that would address some of this at your next meeting. So plan amendments that have gone to the local planning agency or been initiated or found sufficient are able to move forward. So you have a couple that are able to proceed forward. I'll leave the facts to Mr. Doolin, but others that have been filed since will need to await that process of a property rights element and the language is being adopted. So staff, we've been talking about this. We have a plan in place, and you will have there'll be a request to initiate a property rights element before you on August 24th. So that's
Okay, and my board just lit up. Commissioner Hurd, you had your light on. I don't know if it's pertaining.
It is. I'm not going to support the motion. This clearly is a general commercial enclave, which is incompatible, inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. The designation, the future land use designation, apparently has been on this property for since 1982. The properties surrounding it have been fully developed, are fully developed, completely inconsistent with this proposed land use. The MacArthur Golf Club came to us about 6 months ago with a request for a new master plan. It was very innovative. It restored the natural hydrology, which was extremely important in this area because across the street to the east we had Hope Heights flooding, and they really did some wonderful planning in order to restore the historic flow. So this is inconsistent land use, and I'm not going to be supporting it.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Smith, you had your light on next.
Yeah, two things. So to your question, Krista, when will we see that comp plan amendment come forward?
Well, your procedure is that the board needs to initiate it, and there is an agenda item that's currently in process that will come before you on August 24th to initiate the plan amendment, which is required by your comprehensive plan, that the staff needs that from you. And then, believe me, we're very cognizant of this, and we've been discussing it, and subject to your initiation of that, we'd move that forward.
So I'm sure I know the answer to this, but there's no way to you can't do an initiation agenda item without advertising?
No, it doesn't need to be advertised.
Do it today.
We're following, and not to initiate it, no.
So the initiation portion is us saying to you all, it's okay to go ahead and work on the comprehensive plan amendment that you'll then bring back a week or 2 or 3 weeks later after we do that.
Yeah, whenever when it's ready to move
Okay,
forward.
so, silly question, can we not initiate? I know not as part of this agenda item, I appreciate that, but I mean, can we not add an agenda item to our agenda today to initiate to a request of you all to move forward with preparing a comprehensive plan amendment so we don't spend another 2 weeks waiting for it to come?
Well, certainly the board could request that staff expedite that. I will tell you that this is following your practice of agenda item, but certainly
I guess my difference would be-
resolution, you initiate plan amendments by resolution, which is in a draft at this form, at this point in time, but depending on the boards, it could be something you could bring back later today. I mean, I'm looking at.
I guess my issue, Krista, would be that we didn't force this upon us, the legislature forced this upon us, and so we have, I'm sure, people that are sitting there waiting upon us to do this. I'm sorry this is becoming part of your agenda item. It's just, I heard about this, thank you for raising it, probably a couple of weeks ago, and it lost my timeline track, but if there's a way to do it today, that will give us an extra 2 weeks because, correct me if I'm wrong, this is just to initiate you all to start working on it.
Right.
That'll still take some time, which is if we don't initiate it until 2 weeks from now, that'll be a few more weeks out before we see it back on the agenda.
Well, the process, nothing about the process, the standard plan amendment process has been revised, so once you initiate it, you will go to, the staff will generate it, it will go to the local planning agency, it'll come to the Board of County Commissioners for transmittal, and then move forward and for adoption, and, anyway, that's the process. We've been monitoring this, and at a level, staff participated in raising some comments with the Florida Association of Counties about the legislation, but ultimately it was adopted as is. So we've been actively participating in trying to understand it, and so this is where we're at today.
I'll, if it's okay with the chair, I'll do something after this thing is dealt with.
Okay, we have a couple lines, and then I'll come back to you. Yeah.
This item, which is actually what we're working on. And just for the public's sake of this thing, at least as I understand this, and this was brought up earlier when we talked about the growth management process we go through with old land uses or old zonings. R3A, from what I know and understand, was created as the catch-all for everything. If you were to go up Indian River Drive in Jensen Beach, you have R3A or a lot of R3A that was along Indian River Drive that could have been a gas station, it could have been mobile home, it could have been residential, it could have been convenience, commercial. It all got lumped into R3A as a catch-all zoning category, which this has, correct? And so this is now, because we don't have R3A anymore and we have a more modern application of what is appropriate for that piece of property, that's why we're doing this, to get it to be more appropriate what we do versus the catch-all from 1967. Thank you. Now I'm done.
So, Maria, maybe I'm just repeating what you said. As of today, you can put multifamily housing on this.
Up to 8 units per acre, medium density residential, and I believe multifamily is allowed. I can check.
But you can't do R3A today.
I'm sorry, what?
But you cannot do R3A today. You'd have to
Still
rezone
would
it.
need a rezoning for.
Well, yeah, it is a category C zoning district.
Right, so, sorry.
Okay. Commissioner Campy, is your light on for the other?
Both, but I'll
secondary?
start with the
Okay.
actual agenda.
We're going to take a vote on the agenda item, and then
No,
I'll
but I
follow
want to
back
speak
up.
to the agenda item.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Raines, can you come forward for a moment, please? This is really based on the presentation that we saw. It's really surrounded by majority of the property owned by the MacArthur Club,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
Have you reached out to the folks at the MacArthur Club?
We sent notices to the surrounding property owners.
So they would have known what you were up to?
Yes, I believe they would have.
And did you hear back from them? There's a large buffer between what their operation is and what you're talking about here, right?
That's correct.
I mean, I hear what Commissioner Hurd is saying. When you looked at the colorful map, it looks like a single color there. But it's on US 1. It's buffered. The people have been given the opportunity, and I'm sure MacArthur Club and their membership and their administration would have jumped all over this if they were unhappy with what you were up to. So the fact that it is unique causes me pause. However, I think this is unique. It's on US 1. It is appropriate in that regard. I think whoever is the final user or builder of whatever the goal would be here would have to take that into consideration. If you put something out in the middle of nowhere, I don't know if that's the ideal business model. So I will support it. Even though it's different, I think the unique circumstance in its location makes it have to be different. Thank you, ma'am.
And so we've taken public comment on this item, and we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jenkins, seconded by Commissioner Smith. And all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting. And Commissioner Campy, we're going to take your light on the secondary conversation we were having on the private property rights element.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate that. I know that when Commissioner Smith brought it up, all of our senior staff started to get all
Nervous.
edgy, and people started switching seats and having conversations, and our growth management staff was getting panicked. This is something, obviously, that the commissioners and our staff did not bring upon ourselves. This was not something that we did or did not do. This is another example of Tallahassee pushing things down on us. And it's a complicated issue with a lot of weird moving parts. And I have been brought up to speed on it a couple of weeks ago as well, and then didn't hear much about it. What's happening now is that, and then I think what Ms. Story said is important to know. If you had a project already in our pipeline, you were proceeding along at a certain pace, and the legislature dropped a hurdle in place. If you were on the other side of the hurdle, you were okay. Your project continued as it was supposed to in the timeline, financially, and logistically that you thought it would be. If you were on the other side of the hurdle that the legislature just popped into place, the obstacle, if you will, your whole timeline was completely disrupted. And then the definition of what was already in place was really very important. If you were over the hurdle, then you were okay. But if you weren't, that arbitrary obstacle disrupted some projects. And I had gotten 2 or 3 phone calls from a couple of different projects that, through no fault of their own either, was what are we supposed to do? And my concern here is that this is not a Martin County issue. This is a 67 counties in Florida issue. So I think we have 2 advantages. One, we have a first-rate, world-class staff. And look, we always brag on the staff, but there are counties that also have excellent staffs, bigger counties. You get down into Palm Beach County and Broward and Miami and Leon and everywhere else where they have the financial wherewithal to have way more staff than we have. We have a smaller staff of excellent, very highly effective and efficient staff. So with that in mind, we have an advantage as a county to get out in front of most of the other counties. I don't think we'll be first, but as those mid-tier and lower-tier effective counties start to wake up to figure out what this will mean to them, everyone's going to push through the door at the exact same moment to try to get this stuff done. So if it's a matter of saying, to use a visual, everyone line up, and we're going to take people from the front of the line first, I think we need to get lined up. And so I'm not normally one for pushing hard on the staff to pivot, to stop doing your natural timed plan. It's worked very well in the past. This is probably one of those times, because I'm sure there's people in counties already that are well into this before us. But I want to be in the front portion of the line. So I agree with what Commissioner Smith said. If we could initiate it later today, you don't have to do it on the fly if you want to make it the last agenda item of the day, and bring it back so that we're not waiting 2 more weeks to just tell you to initiate it. I know it's a huge process, so if we gave you a 2-week head start, and even if you worked with our senior administrative staff and Mr. Schilling to figure out, well, we can't do everything all at once, so what do you want us to stop potentially working on? If we can work out some kind of, I don't want to just see your cars in the parking lot at 10 o'clock at night. I don't want to do that to you. But on the other hand, if we could take something and move the positions, I think that would be important to do. So I'm in complete agreement to doing that. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Woods?
Yes, I think I was really answering one of Commissioner Smith's questions was, could we take it out of order? Yes, but I believe I defer to Mr. Donaldson to explain why staff took the approach we did. And I think it has to do with having a full discussion of the different options that you're provided with initiating this plan amendment. Mr. Donaldson.
And just to preface that, yes, absolutely, we can bring a resolution at the end of the day. The purpose of our agenda item was to not only enumerate the minimum requirement by the state, but also to elicit other items that are related to it that possibly the board would want to consider in that amendment. We can attempt to explain that to you all this afternoon, but it's certainly the minimum is to the state statute requires this list of property rights elements, which essentially are already property rights that each individual already has, but it needs to be enumerated within your comp plan specifically. But there are some things related to public involvement that are somewhat related to that staff was going to suggest that we look at. So this afternoon we can adopt the minimum resolution as it is to do the state statute, or you can trust staff to bring some additional items for your consideration while we're doing it at the same time, if you trust your staff to include those elements. So that, again, so if you want, we can bring back a resolution at the end of the day for your consideration, if that's your request.
Commissioner Smith?
So, Don, I think you just said 2 things in there. One, I think, is the initiation, which just authorizes you, what would be coming to us in a couple of weeks, to authorize you all to go further, which I think you're hearing from some of us anyway, that we think is a good idea to start today. That initiation would produce a comprehensive plan amendment that would come to us with all of those things you just outlined, correct?
That's correct.
So you're doing, in the process after the initiation, which just seems crazy you have to do that, but you do, you're doing that work anyway. It's just us telling you 2 weeks in advance, legally, please staff, go ahead and start working on this. Whatever needs to get piled into that agenda item, pile it in. So I would move. So I would move.
Carefully craft it.
Do you want it, Sarah? Do you want it to come back as something this afternoon, or can we just make a
We need
resolution?
to bring you the
I
resolution.
don't think you need a motion to bring it back this afternoon. You're just directing.
Just amend.
Oh, you got to, yeah, you should make a motion to add that as an item.
So I would move that we add an additional item, and I don't know what the number would be, but whatever it is, to the end of the day, that would reflect language from staff for initiating a resolution for a comprehensive plan amendment to address state requirements.
Department number 6.
Seconder agree to
Yes.
that. Commissioner Hurd?
Yeah, I'm just curious. So staff was going to bring this same item procedurally back to us on August 24th.
That's correct.
Okay. I don't quite understand what we're doing here. Well, we're not. We're going to bring back the item with staff evaluation on August 24th.
No, no.
We're going to,
What I believe, Commissioner, the request is that we would bring to you, through the last item, department item, is the actual resolution that would initiate the comprehensive plan amendment. August 24th, we would have had the normal agenda item that explains the issue with the attached resolution. Today, we're asking to bring that resolution today, so there would be no August 24th meeting request. You would only see it when it comes back through the LPA and for the comprehensive plan amendment review.
so we're not, if we initiate the amendment today, we're not going to get the staff's review on the 24th.
That's correct.
But it would go to.
Do you think that's wise, commissioners? Don't we want to have all the information possible?
Wouldn't that go to the LPA and then back around to us?
Yeah, that's correct. So the initiation, the comprehensive plan amendment resolution that initiates it would be conducted today. Then following that, staff would generate the requested, the text changes to the comprehensive plan. We would take that to the LPA and then bring it back to you after the LPA for a transmittal hearing.
But my understanding was that before this motion and second, staff was going to bring back a more comprehensive analysis of the requirement on August 24th, which will now, we won't see?
That's correct.
I'm struggling with.
So the agenda item just was going to provide you with the bill analysis, the actual text, and identify some other items.
I want
that. Adopted by the legislature.
I want that before it
related.
goes to
Well,
the
we
LPA.
can. The agenda item is sitting in my queue in Legistar waiting to be finished. So it is basically, and the resolution, it's in a draft form. So we can.
We can still go through the
Yes, we can
process this
still
afternoon.
talk to you about all these things this afternoon.
Yeah, so Commissioner, you can,
ask
adding it to the agenda, you'll have time this afternoon to deliberate on it and go from there. I mean, we can verbalize a lot of this.
Or make copies of the backup materials. It's backup materials related to some of the things that you may want to further consider. So we're prepared to do that at the board's direction, as Mr. Donaldson indicated.
Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. I sympathize with Commissioner Hurd. You know, there's always opportunities or situations where something might come up that you feel blindsided by. This is something that I have had the advantage of been thinking about for a little bit. We meet twice a month. This had come to my attention a couple of weeks ago, post our last meeting, so I've had a chance to think about it. It's House Bill 59. And I've just had a couple of concerned projects reach out, and I hadn't figured out what we're doing. I'm not looking to rush the process. I did second rushing staff, because if we wait 2 more weeks, this gives us 2 additional weeks. And the only reason I want the head start is, as I had mentioned earlier, is every county will be responsible for doing this.
In every city, actually.
In every city. So we're talking hundreds and hundreds, not just the 67 counties. We're talking hundreds. Every community, every city, and county will have to do this. And so you can imagine in your job, if all of a sudden an avalanche of applications and paperwork started hitting into onto your desk, you start at the top of the pile with the ones that got there first. So if we can give ourselves a 2-week head start on the hundreds and hundreds of other municipalities that will also have to do this, we'll still go through a process to discuss what this will mean to us. We're just pushing staff to allow us 2-week head start instead of waiting till August 24th to say, okay, start now. We'll say it this afternoon. And I think this afternoon, after staff lays out just the concept of should we do it or not. Remember, Ms. Story, we don't have the option of deciding if we're doing it or not. We have to do it, correct?
It's a matter of time and whether you want it. You don't have to do it sooner than later.
No, I'm saying it will have to be done.
Yes. Or
So we're not deciding today, yes, we're doing it, or no, we're not. We're just deciding today to make staff do it faster.
Because the consequence of waiting would be that comprehensive plan amendments, both initiated by you as well as private applicants that have not met that deadline, would be held up until the property rights element is adopted.
And so I'm not trying to have any of us shoot from the hip. I just think that we'll have a little better understanding this afternoon, and we shave off 2 weeks from the process.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Smith to bring back an item this afternoon, seconded by Commissioner Campy. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, thank you. And we're moving on to public hearing quasi judicial number 1, public hearing to consider amendment of the Martin County zoning atlas to change the zoning district classification for CPA 21-02 Federal Highway and Ridgeway Terrace. Yes.
I may have got lost there, so I apologize. Did you all vote on?
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I got lost.
We voted on that one first, yeah.
Again, a little foggy this
Yeah. It's been a long day for you, long evening. So, and this item will be presented by Maria Jost. It is a quasi judicial, so we will take ex parte. Commissioner Jenkins,
If I have any, they've been filed.
Commissioner Smith.
And they're filed.
If I have any, they've been filed. Commissioner Campy,
I do, and they've been filed.
Commissioner Hurd.
If I have any, they've been filed.
Okay, does the applicant have return receipts? Those were
They were submitted earlier.
submitted earlier. Okay, there are no interveners on this, correct? And Leila, will you swear in the witnesses, please?
Please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good morning once again, Maria Jost, for the record of the Growth Management Department. So this is the rezoning hearing regarding, that was concurrent to PH4. So just to make things pretty quick, this is the proposed zoning district, GC. That stands for General Commercial Zoning District. The applicant's request is for GC, and it implements the General Commercial Future Land Use designation. Staff recommends approval of the GC zoning district.
The proposed changes from R3A to GC.
And Ms. Jost, do you have your agenda item to submit for the record?
Thank you for the reminder.
Okay, now we'll move with, okay, applicant's presentation?
Yeah, for the record, once again, Bob Raines with the Gunster Law Firm here on behalf of the applicant. To save time, basically, we would just like for Mr. Long's presentation to be adopted as part of this agenda item, and to save time, because it's basically the same concept and the same arguments. But we'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we will take public comment on this item. Seeing no speaker forms, is there anybody in the gallery that would wish to comment? Seeing none, comes back to the board.
Move to approve.
Okay, Commissioner Hurd?
Yeah, Ms. Joes, would you please move to page number 489?
Or 8-9?
That's correct. That is the aerial view, and there you can see the site. It's outlined in red. And would you now move to page number 491? And those are the land uses, which is why I'm not going to be supporting this motion. It's incompatible with all the surrounding land uses. It's a general commercial enclave.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Jenkins, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you.
And we are moving to public hearing quasi judicial number 2, public hearing to consider request by Stuart Sailfish Club Foundation for a waiver of minimum distance from residential zoning or a dwelling for the sale of alcoholic beverages, presented by Irene Settlemeyer. Good afternoon. So
Good morning.
Paul Schilling's going to kick it off.
Growth Management Director.
This is a quasi-judicial
Oh,
matter.
sorry about that. And so I'll take ex parte disclosures. Commissioner Jenkins.
I have any that have been filed.
I haven't either filed.
Okay, same if any have been filed. Commissioner Campy.
If I have any that have been filed.
Commissioner Hurd.
I have some and they've been filed.
Okay, do we have return receipts that were submitted at the LPA?
No, it did not go to LPA.
They did not go to the LPA. We do have the return receipts there with the applicant and Ms. Saudemeyer.
Okay. And are there any interveners? No. Okay, Layla, will you swear in the witnesses, please? Well, actually, Ms. Settlemeyer will have to be sworn in.
Where were you?
I didn't know they'd be so fast.
And then if there's any member, either the applicant needs to be sworn in as well, not members of the public, but we just.
Okay, raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, so we're to staff's presentation. Sorry to get you running across the building.
Good morning, Commissioners. Irene Settlemeyer, Principal Planner with the Growth Management Department. So first, the notice of this public hearing was published in the newspaper, and the applicant mailed notice to 148 owners of property. The applicant will provide that certification of mailing. Additionally, I'm turning in my copy of my work history for the record.
And the agenda item, copy of the agenda item, when you're done?
And a copy of the agenda item. So, Chapter 5, Alcoholic Beverages in the Martin County Code prohibits the sale of alcoholic beverages within 50 feet of a residential zoning district or 50 feet of a dwelling. Section 5.3E provides that the Board of County Commissioners, after a public hearing, may waive the required distance upon a determination that the proposed location promotes the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community. In granting such a waiver, the board may require, here's the text, the board may require such conditions as will, in its judgment, substantially ensure that the negative impacts are not generated from any site requesting a waiver. The board may also revoke a waiver at any time upon determining, after a public hearing to consider all relevant facts, that impacts from the approval of any such waiver are negatively affecting the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community. The Stewart Sailfish Club Foundation, Incorporated, a not-for-profit charitable organization, is requesting that the board grant it a waiver for 3869 Southeast Evans Terrace. The staff report included with the agenda materials provides background information about the previous times the board has considered and granted waivers from the prohibition on the sale of alcoholic beverages within 50 feet of a residential zoning district. The staff report also provides some background information about the nature and operations of the Stewart Sailfish Club Foundation at 3869 Southeast Evans. I want to note that public comment has been received on this item, and public comment was included in the agenda item in a file called Letters of No Objection, and it was also included as an attachment to the supplemental memo. Additional public comment was distributed to the board this morning. The decision to allow a waiver from the minimum distance requirements or to not grant the waiver is entrusted to the board's judgment as to the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community. Staff has recommended approval based on certain conditions being met. So staff has recommended approval conditioned upon these items. No more than 12 fundraising events shall be held at the premises each year. A fishing tournament, which typically involves events on 2 consecutive evenings, shall count as 2 events. The total number of events that are permitted includes events held to benefit the Stewart Sailfish Club Foundation and events hosted by the Stewart Sailfish Club for other nonprofit charitable organizations. The events at the Stewart Sailfish Club shall be held only on Friday and or Saturday evenings, and Saturdays and or Sunday mornings and afternoons. Evening events shall end no later than 10 p.m., with the exception that up to 2 events per year may be extended until 11 p.m. Alternative recommendations are that the board grant the waiver subject to different conditions than those recommended by staff. Another option, of course, is that the board can deny the requested waiver. That concludes my presentation, and I am happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Does anybody have questions for staff at this time? Okay, the applicant, would you like to make a presentation? And then please state your name for the record as well.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Charles Canigliaro. I've been with the Stewart Sailfish Club since 2011. I served as Vice President for 2 years, 4 years as President, and I'm currently the Chairman of the Board. And I also serve as a trustee for the Chapman School of Seamanship. You have that slideshow?
Commissioner, can we get him to turn in the return receipts?
Yes, I have the...
Okay, done. Thank you.
All right, so the Stewart Sailfish Club originally started sometime in the late 30s, was incorporated in 1941. The founders originally started the club for preservation of the oceans and, of course, the sailfish. They've come up with a slogan, Stewart, the sailfish capital of the world, which is pretty well used today. The club is 80 years old, and as you can see, the first tournament of the year is the KDW, where we support and benefit Project Lift. So everything we do is for the community. So that was our first tournament of this year, as you can see on the slide. We also have them print our shirts. We support them throughout the entire year. So any events that we do have, we give them the business to print our shirts, and we raise money. I believe we've donated about $3,000 to them so far this year. Next slide, please. Our 43rd Junior Angler Tournament. This is a tournament that benefits the Florida Sheriff's youth ranches. We bring in underprivileged children every year. This year, we had it two weeks ago. We had over 80 children. They all receive a backpack filled with school supplies. They go through, we put them on boats, and then when they come back, we have prizes. We also have a table where they learn about the environment, and if they complete the little course, they get a fishing pole and a tackle box. We've done this for 43 years. And of course, we write a check to the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranch in support of them. Next slide, please. A 35th annual Saltwaters Tournament. We raise funds for Friends in Pink. We raise money for the simple fact that there are men and women who have problems. They don't have insurance. We help raise funds for them to take mammograms, for other tests, and so on. And as you can see, This past year, we gave them $2,500 because it was a COVID year. We didn't raise as much as we would like to. Next slide, please. Our 67th Light Tackle Tournament, which is held generally in December. Last year, we raised $5,000 for the Humane Society. We also pick a family that's in need every year, that has a child that's been stricken with cancer or some other illnesses. That last year, the recipient was the Leidner family. We raised $10,000. We also helped them rebuild their house. So that was, and this year, we haven't picked the recipient yet for our December tournament. Next slide, please. We also have a scholarship program. Each and every year, we pick 5 to 6 individuals from young men and women from our local schools here that are going into the marine environment to study marine science or whatever, and we give them scholarships from the money that we raise. Next slide. Project Lift was for Hurricane Dorian in 2019. We pulled our resources together. We airlifted over 350 tons of relief goods to the Bahamian people. We purchased 300 mattresses, which from money we raised. We raised $250,000 to help rebuild schools and churches. We also purchased 10 vans to be used as taxi cabs for the people who lost their house and their business. So that was one of the other items we did. That was in 2019. Next slide, please. Before we built the tiki hut, we're very conscious of our neighbors. I went over and I met with the current president of the board at that time, explained to him what we wanted to do. We sat down, I went over everything, and as you can see, he gave us their blessing at that time in 2019, I think it was, 2018, I'm sorry. Next slide. This slide here shows if you look at number 53, that's our tiki hut. Number 118 through 126, those are the people that are directly right behind the tiki hut. They gave us, next slide, they gave us letters of help approving what we're doing today. Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, in closing, okay, we've had previously 11 events, and to my knowledge, we have had not one complaint. We're very conscious of our neighbors. We shut down about 9:30, even earlier. We have 12, we're planning on 12 events a year out of 365 days a year. We probably will only be operating 56 hours out of 8,765 hours a year. So surely, I don't think we're that much of an inconvenience to anyone. We're pretty conscious of our neighbors. And that's pretty much what I have to say today. So we hope we get this. And basically, the reason for us asking for this waiver is at all our events that we currently use, we use Bonner Mobile Bar. All right? We don't make any money from it, basically. So by us having our own, we can add more revenue, which will help us give money to the charities and all the organizations we do support in Martin County. We are just not a fishing club. We're here to help the community. And of course, we're conscious of our conservation of the oceans. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
So basically what I just heard, Irene, was that they could continue to have events. They just, right?
Right.
You've been having events.
Yeah, we just want to
the entire time.
We just want to get a license so we can hold all the money. And so every time that we have an event from Bonner Bar, we make $50, $75, and they're making $2,000. So we felt that, everything we do is volunteer based. We're all volunteers. And we have members that work for the VFW, that do the bars there and so on. We've been approved by the state. We've been approved by the health department. The only issue we have right now is the setback, which we're 35 feet when it calls for 50 feet. So, like I say, we only have a few events a year, and I don't see how we could possibly be a nuisance to anyone. And I do take offense to the first comment that was made about urinating in the bushes. We spent $80,000 in building 2 beautiful bathrooms on site. So that has never happened. Thank you. Any other questions?
Does anyone have questions for the applicant? Okay, we're going to take public comment. I have a couple speaker forms, and if anybody does not have a speaker form, if you'd like to speak, then please go ahead and fill out one and give to the bailiff. The first speaker form I have is Claudia Mays, and Claudia will be followed by Kathy Rethmeyer.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm Claudia Mays. I live at 4300 Southeast St. Lucie Boulevard, number 141, Stuart, Florida.
Can you put that map back up so we
997.
can see?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I just want her to put the map back up so we can see exactly which one is your home, please.
You won't see my home because I'm right beyond the tiki hut. So it doesn't go to where my house is.
Continue with your comments because your timer
Yes.
is clicking.
I'm the third house from the entrance, if you want to try and pin it down, on Dolphin Street, 141. I have nothing against the Stewart Sailfish Club. Their activities, of what they do for people are great. Our problem comes with the disruption of our community. There wasn't a lot of activity because of COVID recently, so it wasn't a big deal. Nobody understood exactly what was going to be taking place underneath that tiki hut when it was built. And we thought it was part of Chapman School at the time it was being put up. Now, recently, activities have been taking place. They're loud, really loud. You can hear them in people's backyards, not into their houses. They can be heard. They say they're having 12 events a year, but if you go on the internet, they also have a place where you can reserve the tiki hut for weddings, private parties. It starts at 600 and something a month. I mean, a party, for the party. So for 600 and something, you can rent that facility. So yes, the Sailfish Club may only have 12 events a year for themselves, but it's open to anybody else that wants to rent it. So we could have a party going on there every Friday and Saturday night, interrupting our senior citizen home, which we purchased in there to retire, not be sitting next to Manatee Island. If I wanted to be next to Manatee Island, I would have bought a place by Manatee Island. It's just too noisy, and it's not fair for the residents of our community, for them. Now, yes, they will make more money, but they are a charitable organization, and I did not believe a charitable organization was allowed to have a liquor license. I may be wrong, but, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Mays. And our next speaker is Kathy Brethmeyer. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly, followed by Tim Kortz.
And yes,
Morning.
my name is Kathy Rethmeyer. I live at Unit 128, which is not included in the letters of approval. Charles and his associate came to my house in June and tried to solicit me to sign this letter that they created, saying that we were not opposed to what they were going to be doing over there. Well, we didn't really know what they were going to be doing, just like Claudia said. When the Tiki Bar was built a couple of years ago, we thought this was part of Chapman's. Chapman's has been a nice, quiet neighbor for us for years. Then COVID hit, nothing was going on over there. And then February came along, and they started having their events. I have nothing against the Sailfish Club. I think they're They do a fabulous job. They obviously contribute to the community. I don't have a problem with that. But this is for the public safety and the wording that was used in here, the public health and safety, general welfare of the community. This is listed on a internet website for rent for $625 for up to 150 people per event. It is listed on their public Facebook page. It is listed on the poll for people to come rent the place. It is not the 12 meetings a year that they had said their intentions were for. It is basically when when I expressed my concerns with the events they were having, they're using microphones, they're using amplifiers, they're using music. I can hear their conversations. It is very awkward in my yard to be there. I feel like I'm like listening in on their conversations. The picture that was displayed does not show the fire pit that was constructed. That is directly behind my house. So my house is not directly behind the tiki bar, but it is connected to this large cement fire pit that's not shown in this picture. I have pictures of it, but I've been out of town for 35 days and I was not able to get my pictures submitted. But I've got plenty of pictures here showing my house, showing what this stuff is going on. So take a breath. I don't have a problem with the Selfish Club, but we didn't choose to have a liquor establishment in our backyard. And by doing this and knowing, and just earlier today, he told one of our members, well, we'll just rent it out to members of our club. Well, for $200, you can go on their website and become a member of their club. So that's not a deterrent. We need you to be the deterrent for us. Either deny it or make some restrictions that we can live with in harmony with the Sailfish Club. That's all we're asking. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Tim Gortz.
Hi, thank you very much again, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Everything that my contemporaries spoke, I find to be totally true. The Sailfish Club is an outstanding organization, providing so many things, so many positive things. As I mentioned earlier, that I find your job to be to make it possible for everybody to live in peace and tranquility. And to me, this is a overreach of that. I'm a landowner. Each of us at the Hidden Harbor Estates owns the land upon which our structure stands. Mine is homesteaded. I'm a real property. According to Martin County, I'm within 500 feet. I'm not a 50-footer. I'm within 500 feet.
Can you point on the map to your property?
I'm 149. I'm 2 streets over. I'm closer to the pool.
I see it.
Up right, top, there, up, left, up.
Right.
Right there. I'm 149 right there. So no, it isn't a direct impact to me, but I have deep concern for my fellow residents because this is a community. This is not like a regular neighborhood where you don't know your neighbor. Everybody here is very intertwined. Many of our people are not here right now, and many of them are so old that they don't even know what's going on in this. For example, the Sailfish Association or Club Foundation is an 80-year-old organization. It's interesting to know that Governor DeSantis just recently referred to Hidden Harbor by name in a public announcement on TV, backed in newspaper, about our 80-plus-year-old rape victim whose house is right across from that fence from this place, is older than your organization. So as a veteran of the military, I hear things like mission creep. That's part of my vocabulary. And this is what's happened is mission creep here. And this is the opportunity to check that. They did obtain the letter from our President Whitskell, which was displayed. There's no mention or discussion about alcohol. They can say what they said, but there's no mention of alcohol in that letter. It was for meetings. Excuse me. It was sounded as though it was going to be for meetings. Then came the caterers, and the mission's creeping. Then came the caterer with a liquor license. I understand that Chapman's was unaware, or somebody at Chapman's was unaware that they were serving alcohol through a third party caterer with a liquor license. then came the back door to the residents. They came on our property. The first time when they came to President Whitskell, they came through the front door and talked to us directly. Then when they came back for these letters, they came directly to the residents through our common area properties without a courtesy call at all. So anyhow, many of the 50-footers are left out because the wall of the tiki hut is what's being referenced. The fire pits outside, I think the entire tract, because that's with how many hundred people?
Time's up, sir.
Your time's up.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else in the gallery that wishes to comment? Oh, okay. We have a couple lights on. Commissioner Camping, followed by Commissioner Hurd.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. This is one of those agenda items that I find difficult to make a determination on. I call them, there's black and white issues and then there's gray issues. This one I would classify as gray. And as I was preparing for the meeting and reading through the information, I had an initial impression of how I would vote, and then I read through more of the information and I changed my mind. And we had a gentleman this morning who spoke, I thought was pretty compelling. And then, of course, we have the representative from the Stewart Sailfish Club. I think even the folks that spoke just now against this item still speak highly of the club. So it's interesting, staff had given a recommendation of approval, and I had an opportunity to speak to them briefly in the hallway. So I have some questions. I don't know if our staff can answer them or if the representative from the club has to. Currently, I'll start with staff. Currently, are there any restrictions or limitations of them having contracted bar services for as many events as they want? Is there any current limitation on how many they can have?
Commissioner Paul Schilling, Growth Management Director. This matter came to our attention basically because of the request at hand. I was aware of the pavilion being constructed that was exempt from site planning requirements some time ago, and the restroom facilities and so forth. The question as to catering has not been brought up previously. I can tell you that my understanding of this club is they have club meetings under that pavilion, and I was unaware that there would be any private renting of that facility. That was not my understanding, that it would be for the use of the members. To answer your question, I think it's one of those things when you bring in a caterer, whether it be at a residence or a business, it's one of those things that just may happen.
Okay. You had mentioned to me that if we were to approve something like this, that we could specifically limit how many events they would have there.
That's correct.
But what type of events? Their own events? Or could they have a wedding? If it's listed on the website, could they have 100 weddings, but they'll only have a dozen of their own events? And what would that liquor license if they had a liquor license, could they then book a wedding and use their own staff and bar services to cater to that wedding crowd? And is that part of the 12?
Yes, it gets complicated when we start mixing commercial with club uses, but Irene, I think, has done a little bit of research on.
I apologize that I was also unaware about the site being advertised for private use like that. The condition that staff had recommended was that there be 12 fundraising events, and that would include any sponsored by the Sailfish Club, or any if they were hosting for another nonprofit organization. I think it would be reasonable to modify, if the board wished to modify that to include, all events, either all events at which alcohol was sold or all events at which any kind of microphone and amplifier were being used. The conditions are within your discretion.
Sir, from the club, could you come? I have a couple of questions for you.
Conigliaro.
Mr. Canigliaro.
Charles is fine.
Well, I'm a paisan, so I can relate to some of what you. Look, I mean, I've known about the organization for a long time. I'm very familiar with some of the organizations that you are supporting. And I appreciate the fact that you did go out and reach out to the neighbors. I think that's very important. How long has the club been at this location?
We've been there since 2017, 18, I think, 2018.
So you've been there for 3 years?
Yes.
Okay, so the club is 80 years old, but you've been at this location for only 3 years.
This is the first permanent home this club's ever had in 80 years.
Okay. My normal philosophy is that your organization is the new organization to the neighborhood, and have let me see how I want to put this. When you received the sort of thumbs up from those homes that you showed on the map on your presentation with the X's on it, those are obviously very, very much affected.
Yeah, they're right there. I mean,
The gentleman this morning said that the only thing separating his yard from your property is a chain link fence. Is that true?
it's a chain link fence plus there's a hedge.
A hedge.
It's a hedge. It's a solid hedge.
Mr. Schilling, would they have the ability to run a full 6-foot tall wooden stockade fence? Part of the issue is sound, but part of it, like the woman that mentioned just now, she's up the road a little bit. No, you're right there by the fire pit. You can look right into each other's properties. Can we mandate or negotiate the ability to have a 6-foot tall fence run the whole property? Before you say anything, there's two advantages to that. One is obviously if there's an alcohol situation, but two, on every other day when there's not an event that has alcohol or meaning, just to give them the ability to have some privacy from one to the other. The residents don't have to put that fence up. They were there first. Your organization is creating a situation that adversely affects the people that have lived there. Even if it's not alcohol related or microphone related, I think it would, you know what they say about fences, good fences make good neighbors.
Sure.
And so I think if you were maybe willing to negotiate with the affected parties, whether they were for you or opposed to your plan, would go a long way in creating more harmony amongst the two organizations all the time. And we still need to figure out how many alcohol-related events, whether they were sponsored by the club, affiliated with the club, or the club is using their location as purely a site for someone else to come. Because if they could have 50 weddings a year every weekend and bring a catering truck in, they already have the ability to do that whether they came here today or not, correct?
Not necessarily. This site was developed prior to any site planning regulations, so it was utilized as a commercial office over the years, decades ago, and just kind of fell in disrepair, so it was rehabilitated. The Chapman folks own this building and property. It is not site planned for events. It is site planned for it is permitted as a club, and that club happens to have meetings outside, if you will. So I think the idea of bringing in leasing this out for private events as opposed to those club.
It might open up a Pandora's box.
Yes. Yeah, this is not appropriate for a wedding event, in my opinion. This would be for club events, okay. Fishing tournament, something of that effect. And the applicant may have more to talk about.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think anybody wants to have a wedding in a tiki hut, and we will certainly, I wasn't aware of that being put on. I'm going to check it out when we get back on the website. I am mainly concerned in 12 club events a year, period, end, okay? And, and like I say, we can draft documents stating, our purposes. And as far as the fence goes, I'm not opposed to putting up a fence, but I will say we do have drop curtains, which we haven't used before. They're already on the tiki hut. We could drop that whole back area down. Nobody can see in there.
One more comment. Sir, I appreciate that. I'm sure the fire pit and the rest of it's not going to be covered by the,
As music.
I think I personally would feel more reassured if I was going to grant any authority that we could offer some assurances to the existing residents that it would be to the criteria that I saw listed on our agenda item, which was 12 events a year, that it would have to end at 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. What was the 11 o'clock? Twice a year.
2 events per year.
Because then we would know, I would know that I'm giving an approval for something very specific. The residents would understand that this is the criteria that's being met. I appreciate that all the money that you raise goes off to fantastic organizations. I appreciate that. But I can't use that in my determination because the comfort and the quality of life of the residents, you don't live there. You're visiting.
Well, actually, I do. I'm there all the time.
You feel like you do, but you're going back to your own home.
Absolutely.
These people that live there, I have to absolutely represent them. If you are willing to then eliminate the process of having weddings and other outside events at the property, that might be, they might walk away today with a better set of circumstances had we voted against this and you still had all your other events. People are consuming alcohol on the property currently, except it's through a contracted bar service. So we have no ability to protect the residents with the contracted bar service. We do if we offer you a liquor license. Would you be willing to give up the contracted bar service if you had your own liquor license for 12 events per year?
Yes.
Now, the other thing that I'll leave it at this, one of the things Mr. Schilling and Ms. Saddlemeyer said that was very important is that we're not granting you an approval, if that's the case today, an approval that you will have forever. It's a conditional approval, so that if we started to hear from the residents, our staff started to hear from the residents that somehow this has gotten blown way out of proportion. The gentleman this morning about car parking issues, and if you have bathrooms, I get it. If someone goes to the bathroom outside, you have no control over that. But the parking, you'll have to be responsible for some of those things. It's all boils down to being a good neighbor. I would be willing to grant you that approval with the criteria, very specific criteria set in place, and with you as a very honorable person understanding that if that criteria were broken, if the agreement you made with us and your neighbors was broken, we would then take it away.
Yeah, that's always been my understanding of this exemption, that it could be taken away at any time. Let me address the parking as well. We have parking signs. We have designated parking areas. We have people out there moving people around. We have parking lot across the way. Our office has 7 spots in front of the Tiki Hut. There's another, I believe, 10 across the street in Chapman's. We have that facility as well. There's another 20. And also we have the church gave us a letter for parking. So we have
Appreciate that.
we have plenty
I
of
just
parking.
want to understand, I want to be very clear that I represent the residents as much as I represent your organization. And if you end up getting an approval today, they'll have a mechanism in place that says if this gets out of hand, they can come forward and it'll be another agenda item, and then sadly we'll have to pull it away. So it's going to be yours, just like if you were having a party at your home. If people disrupt the neighbors and park on the street and park on people's lawns, you bringing those folks to your establishment, you'd be responsible. And I want to support you because I like the organization, but I have to support the neighbors as well. So there's a mechanism in place that you can have what you want, but there's also a mechanism in place that if it doesn't work, they can stop you.
Absolutely. I totally understand.
Okay.
Thank
Attorney
you.
Woods, you had your light on, and then Commissioner Hurd.
Yes, I just wanted to, and I think everybody understands this, the applicant is not the property owner. It's just a lease. And I wanted to have the opportunity to look at Mr. Schilling and Ms. Story, because there's been some changes in the facts of how this property is being used, and I wondered do you have additional recommendations about putting it in this approval? Because you can only either approve it or deny it, or I guess you could continue it if you, but you can add additional conditions to this, and I wanted to throw it over to Mr. Schilling to see.
So I've heard the applicant is willing to install a opaque fence, or fence. The other part is that the events at this site, this pavilion, should be limited in the entirety to your events. So the Sailfish Club events. This isn't an arena or a pavilion that should be rented out by other organizations. And I think you agree to that.
Yes, totally.
So, and I'm assuming they're not here, but the Chapmans agree to that.
Yes, like I said earlier, I'm a trustee on the board as well, and Chapman's, me and Jennifer, we go through everything. We're very close, and we talk about uses and so on.
So the pavilion will not be available for other uses other than your uses?
Strictly for club uses.
Okay. So that's...
We're going to take, did you have something to add, Ms. Story? Commissioner Hurd and then Commissioner Smith.
In that case, knowing that we can conditionally approve the waiver, I would make a motion that we grant the waiver. However, it shall be limited to the Stewart Sailfish Club only. It's not available for rental. There are to be no additional events at any time. What else?
Including the other conditions
Yeah.
about the times of the day and all that, you would include in that?
And the construction of an opaque fence on the one side. Are you okay with these conditions?
Yes, yes.
We need to add anything else?
So we would specify, so the thing, as if I could, before there's a second, we would craft additional language limiting it to this organization only.
Correct.
Not the property owner, not any other commercial uses, simply this, and then the other conditions. Paragraph 1 would be revised, but 2 and 3 would stay as proposed. Is that the motion?
Okay with me.
Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Google street map, and so there's a hedge that runs along your property line?
Yes, there's a fence, there's a fence and a hedge.
Right,
The hedge is cut to the fence height. We can also make that just grow higher too, I mean, if that's an option.
Fence is great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but Ed, you have to look, I mean, you can look at mine, but you've got the practicality of you've got a full-grown hedge in there as it exists with a fence behind it. So you're going to make them put a fence in front of the hedge or remove the hedge, put a new fence in? I mean, for my purposes, the fence, I don't know that the fence is going to do anything particularly, but if the hedge were to grow 6-8 feet versus the 5 or 6 foot it looks like today.
If I was a neighbor, I think I'd want a fence.
Well, the thing about, I mean, look,
Okay, well, let's, let Commissioner Smith, and is there any way you could pull that street map up while Commissioner Smith is talking?
So, I'm just thinking the practical side of what you're trying to, I appreciate, Ed, what you suggested, but the practical side is you've got a fully developed hedge, and unless you're going to put a fence in front of that hedge, which means maintaining the hedge in back of that fence becomes impractical, or it's not going to survive.
How do you know?
I know.
Jenkins?
I know.
Yeah, click on the little, there you go, there, and take the little guy in the corner. Perfect, drag him. It's only on St. Lucie Boulevard. It'll show up right about there. A little bit, yep, perfect. And then rotate around. No, the other way. Keep going, keep going, keep going. No, keep turning. No, no.
You wanna go back?
Keep turning.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, now go back up a little bit further up the street. There you go. Okay. There's the hedge in the back. Turn a little bit. Irene, what are you doing? Stop driving.
Okay, so there.
So there's the cheeky hut in the corner, and there's the hedge in the back. I just for visual, so everybody can kind of see
It'll take years to grow that hedge.
what's there. I personally, I mean, from me, I would just assume you encourage the hedge to grow higher, and that prevents putting in another fence. The only other thing I had on that was, can you go back to the item, Irene, please? Wasn't there a Sunday morning or a weekend morning timeline
Oh, yes.
in there?
Saturday
Yes.
and Sunday mornings and afternoons.
I know the time. Where was the time?
10 p.m.
10
No.
p.m.
There was I thought there was
It says events on condition number 2, Friday and Saturday evenings, and
Saturday.
Saturday and/or Sunday mornings and afternoons. I did not put a
Can we
start
just
time in the
insert
morning.
like a 9 o'clock? Do you have a problem with like a 9 o'clock timeline on
Wait.
Sunday and Saturday
No,
mornings?
No, not at all.
I just know we have, like in Indian Riverside Park, we have a residential neighborhood right on top of Indian Riverside Park, and we have had events that do running events, and they start at 5 in the morning out there, and they get everybody energized, and it's lively. Not that you're going to do that. I just think that maybe on Sunday and Saturday mornings, it might be nice to have like a start time of 9 before any noise starts happening. It's not that you can't set up.
Sure.
It's not that you
No,
can't
I get that.
get that going. It's just the entertainment side of it.
Right.
Me personally, I would rather see you start like after 9
Yeah, and in other words, a 9 start time.
for any activity side. I mean,
Yes, absolutely. No, I don't think anything would start before 9 anyway.
I wouldn't either necessarily. I just
Right. No, we could put that in there. That's not a problem.
and that's it on my end. Thank you.
Commissioner Jenkins.
Well, putting my landscape hat on, it just seemed, and unfortunately I can't, there's not a close enough picture I can actually see what variety of that hedge is. It seems that
It's
hedge
Eugenia.
is in pretty healthy state, and I would think that it would be kind of silly to take the hedge out. My suggestion was to mandate the hedge be maintained at it's 7 foot. 7 foot's the magic number of workman's comp, by the way, of maintenance. That the hedge needs to be maintained in a healthy condition up to a 7-foot thing, rather than taking out a hedge that looks pretty good, right?
That could be a problem at that height because of it's exempt 6 feet or less. It's exempt from setback criteria.
The hedge.
Correct.
The hedge has.
You can have hedge in anything.
I could have a hedge 20 foot tall. No.
I was involved in litigation on something like that. And
So you can't plant a tree within the setback.
you can plant a tree.
And it can only be 7 foot high.
A tree can be 30 or 40 feet high.
Okay, 6 foot fine. I'm not going to argue that.
That's
something
I
new
wanted
that's kind of crazy. Yeah, but okay.
Yes, it was.
There's a lot of things crazy in this job.
But of course, the board has the authority to
change that.
Change that, would you?
By this afternoon.
Yes. Okay, so
But you cannot plant a hedge, or you cannot put a fence
in front of
and shade that hedge out, and you'll have sticks. So it's kind of silly. Okay, all right.
the motion maker agree to amend the condition from
Yes.
the fence to the
Yes.
hedge.
So I will amend it from a opaque fence to a well-maintained 6-foot tall hedge. And also that the Saturday and Sunday morning possible start times, they can start no earlier than 9 a.m.
Okay.
That's agreeable.
These are fishermen. 9 a.m. is like lunchtime.
Yeah.
They're out on the water.
Yeah.
You know, most of our events, you know, they're from the tournaments, and by 8 o'clock at night they're done. I mean, you know, but we want to have that time in there just in case it does overlap, you know, because these guys are out fishing all day long. They want to get home.
Okay, so we have a motion then and some good negotiation back and forth by Commissioner Hurd.
I will second it, sir, for the reason that you've been very reasonable today.
Oh, thank you.
And please and continue or enhance. Remember, you're one person. You're a very important person with the organization, but you need to go back and spread the word to all of the members.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, they'll
Once
vote
a
you
month.
out later today, but you're agreeing to these things on behalf of your organization.
Right.
No, I get it. I love the organization, but I want to make sure the neighbors that have to live right there get what they
Okay,
need.
boys. So we have a motion on the floor by
Find that as a sexist remark.
Commissioner Hurd, seconded by Commissioner Campy, and all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much for
Thank you,
working
everyone.
with
I
us
appreciate your
and
time.
for
Thank
the
you.
neighbors. Okay. Moving, you know what? Might be lunchtime. We're going to take, we have some, those in the gallery for,
Let's go. Come on. Face.
is,
Let's go.
do we have Matt?
Mutiny.
How long do you anticipate,
Yeah, I like your style. Keep going.
yeah, we're going to take this, and then we're going to take a break at departmental number 1. Matt has been known to be a man of few words, so. Oh,
It'll take 15 minutes to reboot. You'll be fine.
okay. We will, we'll take quasi judicial number 3, and then we'll depart for lunch. These folks have been sitting patiently. All right, so we have quasi judicial number 3, request for a zoning district change by Get Set and LLC, presented by Matt Staley. And this is a quasi judicial. We will take ex parte communications. Commissioner Hurd.
If I have any, they've been filed.
Commissioner Campy.
If I have any, they've been filed.
Commissioner Jenkins. Ex parte.
If I have any, they've been filed.
I do not have any, and Commissioner Smith has stepped out. Can we take that when he returns?
Yeah.
Or do we have, okay. Okay, does the applicant have return receipts?
They were provided at the LPA.
Any interveners? No. And Leila, would you like to swear in the please?
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, does staff, would you,
Can you-
please?
I'm going to I can't turn my thing back on without turning the music off, so can you bear with me for just a second? I'm going to disrupt.
All right, there you go. Okay, Matt, go ahead and introduce with staff's presentation.
Good afternoon. For the record, Matt Staley, Principal Planner with Growth Management. A copy of the agenda item and my work history and staff report has been provided. This is a request by Get Set and LLC for a zoning district change from the B1 Business District to the GC General Commercial District. The approximate 9.0 acre undeveloped site is located on the east side of Southeast Federal Highway, 400 feet north of Southeast Constitution Boulevard in Hobe Sound. A detailed staff report reflecting compliance findings has been provided as part of this agenda item. Included in the application is a request for a certificate of public facilities exemption. The current B1 business district is compatible with the underlying commercial general future land use, and therefore this request for a zoning district change is considered non-mandatory.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
just for the record, if I have my
ex parte.
ex parte, they're filed.
Okay, thank you.
There are two standard zoning districts that are available to implement the commercial general land use policies of the comp plan, which are CC Community General, or Community, yeah, CG Commercial General Land Use Policies of the comp plan, which are CC Community Commercial and GC General Commercial. In addition to the standard zoning districts, the PUD Planned Unit Development District is also available. The PUD district offers more design flexibility to applicants for proposed projects in exchange for benefits to the county and more controls by the county. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property to GC General Commercial District, and these following tables compare the permitted uses and development standards for the available standard zoning districts. The Martin County Land Development Regulations provide the standards for amendments to the zoning atlas in section 3.2E2 of Article 3. A full analysis of the application of these standards to the rezoning request and the specific subject site is provided in the attached staff report. Staff recommends that the requested GC, General Commercial District, is an appropriate zoning district with respect to the application of the goals, objectives, and policies of the comp plan, LDRs, and county code. In addition, this item was considered on the LPA on July 15th, and the LPA voted 5-0 and for recommendation of approval. So with that. So staff moves that the board receive and file the agenda item summary and all its attachments, including the staff report, for the record as Exhibit 1, and move that the board approve to amend the Martin County zoning atlas to change the zoning district on the subject property from B1 to GC, or the most appropriate zoning district, and adopt the resolution of approval. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Madam Chair, for the record, George Gentile, President Gentile Glass Holloway O'Mahony, Landscape Architects, Planners. Because I know it's getting late, I think your staff has done a great job with it. The request meets all of your comp plan requirements, and adjacent properties have the same designations as well, and we would appreciate your support on it. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Does anybody have questions for the applicant? Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, this is a request from a change from B1 to GC. B1 is it's not a mandatory change?
No, it's consistent with the underlying future land use, yes. But it doesn't specifically call out what they're anticipating for the proposed use. So for consistency, we've had folks rezone in that instance.
So it could be B1, it could be CC, or it could be GC.
Yeah.
Those are all. Has there been a site plan application submitted to the county for this property?
Pre-application meeting, yes.
I understand that it's a commercial amusement, outdoor.
Yeah, and that's.
Can you tell me what that is?
Yeah, their proposal. Well, the commercial amusement for outdoor sports activities. In this instance, they were proposing at the pre-application meeting a tennis center with outdoor tennis courts and a fitness center associated, and the infrastructure.
What other kinds of commercial amusements, outdoor amusements, could be put on this site? Yeah, really.
Like putt-putt golf. So, I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Batting cages is another one that we've had fall into that category. That type of scenario. But I would point out that B1 permits gas stations, hotel, motels, restaurants, things of that nature already.
Okay.
So.
Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? Commissioner Campy.
Pending any public comment, move staff's recommendation for approval.
Okay, is there?
Second.
Wonderful. We have a motion on the floor. Does anybody from the public wish to comment? Seeing none, then we have a motion by Commissioner Campy, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And we will take a break. Is everybody okay with 2 p.m. or do you need a longer break?
That's 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Okay, we will adjourn for lunch and be back here at 2 p.m.